Tonight, a matchup of teams from hockey's best division. Winnipeg coach Dan Maloney piloted his team through a turbulent start, but the Jets appear to be back on course. A two-game stopover on the West Coast produced 3 of a possible 4 points. Pat Elenick was an overtime hero Tuesday night against the Kings. Goaltending is one improvement this season. Alain Chevrier is out of Sean Burke's shadow, providing a solid combination with Pokey Reddick. But Glenn Sather's Oilers will test that goaltending tonight. They've scored 21 goals in 3 games. The old Oilers scoring machine has a new leader, Jimmy Carson. 23 goals, the same number as number 99 in Los Angeles. The difference between these two teams is deceiving. The Oilers 10 points up, but the Jets have 5 games in hand. Tonight, it's the Jets and Oilers from the Northlands Coliseum.
Molson Hockey Night in Canada on CBC.
The rebound to Moore. Wait, let's go! A wild finish, and then at the Sanderson door! On the door! Andre Dupont takes the shot, he scores! He scored! Bob Nystrom scores the goal! Again, Suter trying to get back. Gretzky with his shot, he scores!
Brought to you by Molson Canadian, what beer's all about. By Ford of Canada, where quality is more than a commitment, quality is job one. And by Esso retailers and agents across Canada.
Good evening, everybody, and welcome to Molson Hockey Night in Canada on CBC from the Northlands Coliseum, where both the Oilers and the Jets are licking their wounds after games on Thursday night. The Oilers lost in Calgary, their 3rd straight to the Flames this year. The Jets were in Los Angeles. They had a 5-1 lead, but settled for a 5-5 tie. Nevertheless, the Jets come in here with renewed confidence. They've beaten the defending Stanley Cup champions twice this year. That's once more than all of last season, and this series seems to be tightening up. In their last 12 meetings, 7 have gone to overtime. With their thoughts on tonight's game, let's join Don Whitman and John Garrett.
Well, Chris, divisional rivalries this year, particularly in the Smythe, are extremely important. And John Garrett, the Jets are 2-1-1 against Edmonton, much of the production coming from Dale Howardchuk and Andrew McBain.
During the month of November, Andrew McBain and Dale Howardchuk carried the Jets. They were playing on the same line. That's where all the production was coming from. Now Dave Ellett and Frederick Olofsson on the blue line are contributing, and Dan Maloney has to be pleased with that.
Glenn Sather, I think, has to be a little concerned about his goaltending. Surprisingly as it may seem, Grant Fuhr has not won a game against the Jets this year.
Grant Fuhr has struggled, especially lately. He's only won 1 of his last 6 starts, while Bill Ranford has won 9 of 10 starts that he's been in.
And Ranford was in goal for the only Edmonton victory, a 5-4 win. Molson Hockey Night in Canada on CBC returns in a moment.
Action tonight, Calgary and Hartford with that 13-game unbeaten streak, and the Kings lead the Islanders 3-0 in the second period. This afternoon at the Boston Garden, it was the New York Rangers against the struggling Bruins, who have won just 3 of their last 15 going in. Tony Granato, who is really on a hot streak, the young rookie with his 16th, tied the score at 1 in the first, and it stayed tied the rest of the way. 1-1 the final. Now our national anthem.
Oh, Canada, our home and native land, true patriot love in all thy sons command. With glowing hearts we see thee rise, a true north strong and free. From far and wide, oh Canada, we stand on a guard for thee. God keep our land glorious and free. Oh Canada, we stand on guard for thee.
The Edmonton Oilers and the Winnipeg Jets meeting for the 5th time this season. The Jets lost their first clash with the Oilers 5 here at Northlands Coliseum. Since then, they have won 2 and tied 1. Kerry Fraser is tonight's referee. Mike Civic and Randy Mitten are working with him as linesmen. In goal for the Winnipeg Jets, as he has been in the 4 previous meetings, Alain Chevrier, acquired from the New Jersey Devils. And at the other end, playing his 350th National Hockey League game, but still without a victory over Winnipeg this year, Grant Fuhr.
Grant has been questioning his own play in the last week or two, and that's something he's never done in his career. He hasn't thought about the way he's played. He's played so well every night, he's never had to.
Offside, as the Oilers almost got that quick breakaway pass to Keith Acton up the middle.
Let's go here.
Talking to Dan Maloney this morning, he was saying that the reason they felt they could get rid of Mario Marois was the play of Dave Ellett and Frederick Olofsson. They've really come on, and they're both so young, so strong, and they hold so much promise for the Winnipeg Jets.
Mario Marois traded to Quebec on Tuesday, and going to Winnipeg from Quebec, Gord Donnelly, who had 2 games against the Los Angeles Kings on Tuesday and Thursday. 5-5 tie and a 5-4 overtime win. Here's Acton going in. He couldn't handle the pass. Olofsson plays it off the boards and down the ice. A great opportunity for the Oilers on that 2-1, and Acton couldn't handle the pass. The Jets forcing a turnover. Elnuck in the corner. Check. Tikkanen plays it to the other side to Lowe. Laurie Boschman in deep, forechecking for Winnipeg. Lowe having some problems trying to come out along the boards. It's kept in by Doug Smale. Smale runs into a check, and the Oilers come up with it, and Keith Acton brings it out into the center ice area. Dave Ellett takes over for Winnipeg. He tried to dump it in and put it over the glass on a play.
Edmonton playing Calgary on Thursday night. Felt they played well enough to win, and they did play a more disciplined style. They didn't take any stupid penalties like they had been, and it was one of those 1-goal games where the Flames got a break on a long shot and scored an empty netter.
In terms of longevity, Sather is #1 in the National Hockey League. He's been here since the Oilers joined the NHL in 79-80. Brian Murray of the Washington Capitals has been at his post since 82-83, and ranking #3, Dan Maloney of the Winnipeg Jets in only his 3rd season.
I'd say there's the only active coach to have a Stanley Cup ring.
On the left side, Adams to the right side to Anderson. Anderson looking for Messier, and Messier had the puck slide off the end of his stick, and as he tried to jam it, Chevrier covered out.
Chevrier made a good play by not giving up on this puck. He slid over. Messier missed his original shot, but then on the rebound, Chevrier, not giving up, was right there. Good play by Anderson to send Messier in, draws the defenseman. Now Messier uses his speed. Now watch Chevrier, doesn't give up, sticks the arms out, and is able to cover up the second shot. Now watch Chevrier, most goalies would give up. He stays down, sticks the arms out, and makes the save.
The Oilers have had 2 good early chances, one by Acton and that one by Messier. Messier reunited with Glenn Anderson for this game, and they have Adams on the other side. From the face-off, the puck comes back to the line. Vukovu manages to keep it in. He played his first game after being recalled from the American League on December 2nd against Calgary. 18:20 the time remaining in the still scoreless opening period. Messier dumps it in. Chevrier plays it up on the wing. Adams manages to bang it around the glass. It goes over the glass and out of play. 18:11 with the time remaining in the first period.
Game played this afternoon. The Philadelphia Flyers add to the Blackhawks' woes, a 6-4 win, Chicago's 9th straight loss. And we showed you Tony Granato's tying goal, 1-1, the Rangers and Bruins.
Back at the line, Charlie Huddy dumps it into the corner. Taglianetti plays it around in the boards. Duncan banged it ahead to Howardchuk. He takes a hit, plays it up to Carlisle. Carlisle in across the line to Taglianetti. He shoots, and Grant Fuhr gets a piece of it. The 2 defensemen were both in deep on that Winnipeg breakout. At the line, Carlisle knocks it down. It bounces off Bukaboom and comes back out into the center ice area. It's dumped back in, and Charlie Huddy goes back after it. Huddy up on the right side. Norman Lacombe gets away from Howarchuk. Lacombe tried to get it over to Carlisle, or out front, and Carlisle knocked it away. Now it comes out front. They bang away, and covering up is Chevrier.
Again, a big save by Chevrier. Grant Pure made a good save on Peter Taglianetti down at the other end, with both defensemen pitching in, but Ian Duncan stayed back, covered up for his defenseman. Here's Carlisle and Taglianetti. Charlie Huddy, the lone man back. Now watch, Pure stays on his feet. He's able to get the left hand over and deflect it to the corner, and down at the other end, Alan Chevrier again, as the Oilers get a good chance in close. It's out. A good rush, and then Buchberger gets a chance right on the doorstep, and Chevrier is there to make the save.
Face off to the left of Chevrier, 17:26 remaining in this first period. From the face-off, it comes back to the line. Randy Gregg kept it in, but then Howarchuk is able to clear the zone. Charlie Huddy goes back after it. Unable to get away from Donnelly, and there is going to be a penalty here against the Winnipeg Jets, Gord Donnelly. So the Edmonton Oilers will go on the power play with 17:13 left in the period.
Gord Donnelly from behind gets the stick on Charlie Huddy. He stops skating, and that's a bad penalty in the offensive zone. Charlie Huddy's not going to go 200 feet and score. Donnelly, the big bruiser that the Jets wanted up front, takes a cheapy hooking penalty and gives the Oilers a chance on the power play.
Donnelly playing just his third game with the Winnipeg Jets since being acquired in the trade.
There's the hook on Charlie Huddy, and a very obvious one. Easy one for Kerry Fraser to call.
The Edmonton power play ranks 18th in the National Hockey League. It has struggled this season. Messier in across the line, lost control of it, and it's dumped down the ice by Frederick Olofsson.
And the only reason they're 18th has been because they've been hot in a couple of games. They were 5 for 10 against Buffalo one night, 2 for 2 last week. They've had no consistency at all on the power play.
Huddy on the left side. He drives it into the Winnipeg zone. Messier plays it around the boards, back of the net. Carson looking to the point for Huddy. Over to the other side. And Carson, as he took that relay from Tikkanen, fanned, and the Jets, Olofsson dumps at the lane.
Good chance for Carson. Big blade on his stick, and he missed the pass. Usually that would have been in the net.
Anderson in across the line, gives it to Carson. Carson moving in, has it poked away. Anderson gets it. Back to the point. Smith with a shot right on the rebound to Carson. And Chevrier came out of his net to block that one. Brought out into the center ice area by Dave Hunter. He goes to the other side to Jim Kite. Kite dumps it in, and Tikkanen takes it in the corner. 40 seconds remaining in the penalty to Donnelly. Here comes Anderson down the left side. Stopped at the line. The puck is loose. Fired in. Here's a great chance as it's fired just wide, just past Messier's stick. Carson was trying to slide it across in front of that net, and he just missed Messier. And as the Oilers try to keep it in, Tikkanen put it over the boards and out of play.
I think Messier thought that Jimmy Carson was going to shoot it, and you can see why. He's been so hot lately. Carson tried to throw the pass across to Messier, and they were only about 2 feet apart by the time Carson threw it. Jimmy Carson has one of the biggest blades in all of hockey. You see how long it is. It's really hard for the goaltender to read the puck coming off that blade. Starts on the heel of a stick. You watch when he takes a wrist shot, he starts the puck on the heel of a stick and then rolls it off the end of the blade. It's really hard to read the puck.
20 seconds remaining in the penalty to Gord Donnelly. Ashton steals it in the center ice area and then dumps it down into the Edmonton zone with 10 seconds left in the penalty. Smith has it poked away by Laurie Boschman. Boschman plays it back to Taglianetti. Taglianetti dumps it down the ice as Donnelly comes out of the penalty box. 15:09 remaining in the opening period. No score in the hockey game. Tikkanen wheeling down the right side, dumps it in, and there's going to be another penalty coming up as Acton was upset, and I believe it will be Ray Neufeld who will be going on. So another power play for Edmonton.
And you list the guys that you have to be aware of, and Keith Acton is one of them. Watch Neufeld. He hardly touches Acton, but it's right at the feet. Acton goes down, and Neufeld takes a tripping penalty.
Well, the Edmonton Oilers power play may not be that effective, but you don't want to give the defending Stanley Cup champions too many opportunities.
Especially 2 in a row like this, your penalty killers get tired, the goaltender gets tired. And the Oilers power play looked good, and their first chance, they had a couple of good chances. If it wasn't for Alan Chevrier, they would have scored.
From the face-off, Ellett in the corner, plays it around to the other side. Carson is there. Carson tried to get it back to the net, and the Winnipeg Jets, Frederick Olofsson gets it and shoots the length of the ice.
Great confidence in Olofsson coming back. He missed about 10 days. He's been used a lot, and he's played well since he's come back.
Smith drives it into the Winnipeg zone. Ellett races into the corner after it. Unable to get it out against Tikkanen. Now it's loose. Here's a chance out to Carson. This time he scores.
A great pass by Curry to Carson. Tikkanen keeps the puck in. A good play at the blue line. Now watch. Here goes to Messier to Curry. Now Carson's ready. Stick on the ice. And he just one time, no chance for Chevrier. Look at Carson's stick. Poised, cocked, and ready, and he just blows it by Alan Chevrier.
Carson's 24th goal of the season on the power play from Curry and Tikkanen. He had a similar setup earlier in the period. He fanned on it. That time he made no mistakes. Teppo Numminen back of his own net, playing it up along the boards. Paul Benton tried to get it out and deflected off the stick and over the boards, out of play. 14-16, the time remaining in the first period. First goal of the game on home ice this season is 6-2, so getting that first goal obviously is important as far as the Oilers are concerned.
They're a hard team to play catch-up against because they still have the great offensive abilities. If you take some chances, they're going to put it in your net.
Numminen dumps it up along the boards, gets it back, comes in across the line with Fenton, over to Fenton, he lets a shot go. Pure gets a piece of that one, and Kevin Lowe takes it back at the net, plays it up around the boards. Numminen keeps it in. Now it's Craig Muni going to the other corner, getting it ahead to McClelland. He deflects it out to center ice. Fired back in by the Jets, and Grant Fuhr grabs it at the side of the net. Whistle down on a delayed offside call.
The delayed offside, if the puck's going on the net, they blow the whistle, and that's what happened there. Jimmy Carson scored that goal as he does many times. He's in perfect position. Now watch him get ready for the shot. The stick's on the ice. He gives Curry a target, and Yari Curry put it right on the tape. No chance for Alan Chevrier.
1-0 here at Northlands Coliseum, and now with a Hockey Night in Canada update, here's Chris Cuthbert.
A couple of scores to pass along. Bob Probert has his second goal in as many nights as the Red Wings lead the Maple Leafs 1-0. And New Jersey and Pittsburgh are playing. Sundstrom and Edmonton native Ken Danico have scored 2-0 Devils over the Penguins.
Keith Acton is out there with Tikkanen and Curry as his wingers. They miss Craig Simpson. He has been out now for 2 games. He stopped a shot on the ankle by Brian Leach of the New York Rangers. They don't feel he'll be ready until they travel to Toronto on Wednesday.
Here's a shot by Fenton. Now watch Grant Fuhr. He's backing up on this one, and he's down before the shot. He had trouble with that one. And Grant Fuhr, when he's on top of his game, he would have been way out there right on Fenton's stick.
Randy Gregg back into his own zone, rink wide for Tikkanen. And Tikkanen looking for Curry on the right side, too far for him. And Chevrier clears it back out into the center ice area. Tikkanen, rink wide again. Curry in across the line with Acton. Curry with the shot. It's partially blocked by Randy Carlyle. Up along the boards to Duncan. He can't get out. Now Duncan gets another opportunity and clears the zone.
The Edmonton Oilers have really carried the play, but they're only ahead 1-0. They're out shooting the Jets 6-2. And the Jets want to play kitty bar the door, but you have to have some offense. You can't play the whole period in your own zone.
Into the center ice area. Tikkanen now circles back into his own zone, looking for some help, finds Curry. Curry is forced by Randy Carlyle, hits Tikkanen. Tikkanen to Carson. Carson against Taglianetti. Carson going for the net. Gets the shot away, the rebound, the score! Tikkanen.
Jimmy Carson, not one of the strongest guys in the world, but watch him on Peter Taglianetti. Carson uses his strength, cuts to the net. Look at the balance. He gets a shot away. Tikkanen gets a whack at it, and there's Jari Kurri. And I don't know whether Tikkanen will get credit or Kurri, but it was going in anyway. Here's a shot. Now watch Tikkanen. He shoots it towards the net. It goes off Taglianetti, and I don't know whether Kurri tipped it just as it was going over the line or whether it went straight in.
Kurri threw his stick towards that puck, and he may have touched it just as it went in. Carson. And across the line to Lacombe, and Lacombe shuttles it towards the net, and another penalty is coming up against the Winnipeg Jets. So with 12:29 remaining, and the Oilers in front by 2, they get a power play chance.
Tikkanen gets credit for the goal. It was over the line before Kurri could get his stick on it. Good play by that whole line. Brent Ashton gets a penalty. The Jets' defense is standing still at their own blue line, and so far the Oilers have been able to take advantage. Ashton coming back tackled Norman Lacombe.
So their third power play chance of the period, and Smith has it at the line for Kurri. He lets it go back to the net. Out front, Carson tried to jam it. It's loose in the slot area. Carson plays it back to Smith. He dumps it off to Kurri. Back of the net. They get it out to the point to Smith. Over to the other side to Tikkanen. Now Smith to Tikkanen. He lets the shot go wide. Kurri tried to get it back to the line. Knocked down there by Thomas Steen, and it comes out into the neutral zone. Mark Messier played it on the right side. Too far for Carson, and Jim Kite bangs it off the boards and down the ice.
The Oilers power play again, controlling the play, getting some good chances, and Alan Shivery's down 2-0, but he's playing well.
Along the boards, picked up by the Jets' Kite, and he dumps it the length of the ice with 1:03 remaining in the penalty dash.
Shots are now 10-2. And the Jets are just right back on their heels. They could be knocked out if the Oilers score here.
Kurri in the center ice area loses the puck. Hunter gets it over on the left side to Fenton. Fenton lets a shot go from a bad angle. It ricochets off a leg and off the glass. Now it's Tikkanen. Forced in behind his own net. Fenton and Hunter out there killing off this penalty for Winnipeg. Tikkanen on the right side was looking for Kurri. He was covered. Puck back of the Winnipeg net. They are unable to get it out. Now Frederick Olofsson tries to get it loose. He succeeds to Dave Ellett. And Ellett finds the opening, gets it ahead to Fenton. Here's a 2-on-1 with Hunter. Fenton lets the shot go. Glove save by Grant Fuhr.
Very close to being offside. And Grant Fuhr makes the save at the top of the crease on Paul Fenton. Still on his feet when he gloved that one. Watch how close this is. I don't know whether we'll see the winger on the other side. Now watch Fuhr. Look at where he is. He's at the top of the crease. He's on his feet. He gloves it. Then he falls backwards. That's more like Grant Fuhr. Look at his positioning. He's there. He's square. And the quick glove hand.
Well, according to the Oilers, Fuhr, despite that loss the other night to the Calgary Flames, played very, very well.
He'd gotten a hook in his previous 2 starts, and there was a lot of concern about him. Fortunately for the Oilers, Bill Ranford has played well when he's played.
15 seconds remaining in the penalty to Ashton. From the face-off, Smith in the Edmonton zone gets it back to Lowe.
5 seconds.
Just 5 seconds now remaining in the penalty. As Ashton is up and ready to come out of the box, Acton comes in across the line, runs into a check, the puck goes loose, and Andrew McBain dumps it down the ice. Ashton coming out of the box was racing after it, so Fuhr had to play it. There was no icing call. Here's Newman and moving in. Ashton with the rebound. Fuhr makes the save. And Fuhr covers up as the Jets jammed away at it.
The Oilers trying to throw the puck up the middle. Knocked down by Newman, and he gets the shot on Grant Fuhr. There, watch Newman and hit Acton. Acton cutting across the middle, watching his own pass. He was slow to get up. The Jets came right back. Here's a chance on Fuhr now, just like Chevrier on his first save. Watch Fuhr, he doesn't give up. Desperation stretches over and is able to stop the rebound.
2-0. The Oilers lead with 10:10 remaining in this opening period. Power play goal by Carson, his 24th of the year, and then Esa Tikkanen with his 17th.
Last year, those 4 years, Teppo Numminen at 17 was playing in the elite league in Finland, something very rare.
And of course, he played in the Winter Olympic Games last year for Finland. Adams fires it deep into Winnipeg territory. Chevrier plays it up along the boards for Ian Duncan. Duncan is checked by Craig Muni, who pinched in from the point. Now Hawerchuk along the boards, clears the zone with Kevin Lowe retreating after him.
I don't know, the Jets really count on Dale Hawerchuk when we played the first 10 minutes, and that's the first time I've noticed him on the ice, and I don't know whether he's been out there and hasn't done anything, but you have to get something out of Dale Hawerchuk.
Duncan tried to center it, knocked down by Lowe. Hawerchuk is out there with Donnelly and Ian Duncan. Now it's Kevin McClellan in across the line, but Craig McTavish was offside. Taglianetti and McClellan after the whistle doing some shoving. Nothing serious appears to be developing. 9:27 still to play in this first period.
He came off the bench. This is during a line change, and he went right at Kevin McClellan. Now, it'll be interesting to see how this call is called. The Jets had about 8 guys on the ice, and so did the Oilers.
And that took place after it appeared everything had settled down. And Donnelly will be going off. Kevin McClelland is also going off. The teams were in the process of making a line change when that broke out. That was a carryover of the initial shoving duel.
Donnelly was on the ice with Hawerchuk and Duncan. He started to come off, and then he went back. It'll be interesting to see, because the coach gets suspended if the referee rules that Donnelly came off the bench to start something with Kevin McClellan.
I don't think he had actually made it to the bench.
That's something the Jets felt they needed, with some strength up front, and they certainly get that with the acquisition of Gord Donnelly.
Ellett to his defensive partner, Freddie Olesen. Over on the left side, Doug Smale had difficulty handling it. Grant Fuhr coming out of his net, they score! Fuhr tried to clear it, and it bounced off his clearing attempt and back into the net. I don't know who will get credited with the goal. It may have even gone off an Oiler player's stick.
It went off Randy Gregg, and I don't think Randy Gregg's going to get credit for the goal. Here's Smale chasing the puck. Now watch Fuhr. Gregg cuts in front. It hits Gregg in the glove. Charlie Huddy tries to get it, and it goes right in the net.
Doug Smale will get credited with the unassisted tally, his 10th of the season at 10:47. That will make the archives of the unusual goals of this 1988-89 season. Here's another opportunity for Winnipeg. Elnick on the right side. Fuhr makes the save. He wasn't sure where the puck was. Along the boards, it's picked up by Carson, unable to get out of the zone. Elnick with the puck for Winnipeg. Back to the line. Olesen moving in. Olesen getting set. Cross ice. They score to Dave Ellett. The two defensemen in deep, and Ellett took that perfect pass to fire it past Grant Fuhr. It's tied at 2.
In a period completely dominated by the Edmonton Oilers, the Jets all of a sudden are tied, and Ellett was planted in front of the net for like 20 seconds. There's Ellett out of the picture. Now he's just standing there, waiting for the pass. There's the two defensemen, and there's Ellett banging it by Grant Fuhr. There's the defenseman. Now Ellett is all by himself. No chance for Fuhr on this one.
Those two goals 45 seconds apart, and the Winnipeg Jets are back on even terms. And that all started when Grant Fuhr, after making the save, really wasn't sure where the puck was. And there was an unusual ricochet that came off the glass, and Chevrier had to be alert to stop it. Now Numminen breaks out for Winnipeg, a 4-on-2. On the right side for Neufeld, off to Boschman. He takes the shot, deflected in front of the net, they score!
Steve Smith gets caught up ice, and the Jets come back on a 4-on-2, and Mark Messier is one of the defensemen here. Messier, there's Messier playing the 4-on-2. Now he follows the puck Nobody picks up anybody in front. Everybody's looking at the puck. And there's Brent Ashton. Now watch everybody look at the puck. Here's a shot by Bosch, but Rancourt has trouble with the rebound. Neufeld chips it over, and there's Ashton all by himself right in front of the net.
3 goals in 54 seconds. The Winnipeg Jets in front as Messier comes in across the line. He leaves it for Adams. His shot is partially blocked. Back to the net is Kite. Kite for Boschman to Ashton, having problems picking it up as he comes into the center ice area. A pass too far for Neufeld. Neufeld manages to keep it in. Neufeld banged against the boards, and Messier gets the loose puck ahead to Anderson. Anderson trying to go around Kite. Adams following up on the play, centering it, nobody there, and the puck comes out into the center ice area. 7:36 remaining in the period. Winnipeg leading 3-2. Ori Boschman fakes the shot, goes to the corner with it. Boschman is taken in against the boards. Takes another hit there from Bukaboom as the Oilers start back with Smith getting it ahead to Tikkanen. Now it's dumped back into the Edmonton zone. And Bukaboom for Edmonton plays it over to Lowe. Rink wide pass. Acton in across the Winnipeg line, trying to go around Carlisle. Still has it. Looking for someone to pass to. Gives it to Lowe. Lowe tried to return it to Acton, and it was fired over the glass and out of play by Craig Muni. 3-2 Winnipeg leads with 6:59 left in the period. Troy it for Paul McLean, his 8th goal of the season from Neufeld and Numminen to put Winnipeg in front 3-2 at 11:41. Those 3 goals, starting with that unusual goal that Grant Fuhr knocked off Randy Gregg into his own net. Those goals 54 seconds apart. Curry in across the line. Loose puck picked up by Taglianetti for McBain. On the left side, and Ian Duncan is hit, knocked down by Craig Muni. Curry gets it for the Oilers. Working against Carlisle, puts on the brakes. Carlisle knocks it away from him. It's loose at center ice. Carlisle picks it up, hits Hawerchuk. Hawerchuk looking across ice, and he was looking for Ian Duncan. Duncan couldn't quite reach it. Now the Oilers' Tikkanen gets out into the center ice area for Acton. Acton is stopped at the line. Duncan bangs it off the boards. Randy Gregg has it for Edmonton. Lost control. Duncan takes it away. Duncan in across the line. He's checked. And the Oilers' McTavish comes back. McTavish going to the corner. Taken in against the boards by Thomas Steen. The puck back at the Winnipeg net. Randy Gregg pinching in from the point. Keeps it in. Now Steen gets control for Winnipeg. Tried to clear. Knocked down by Curry. Curry directs a shot towards the net. It never got there. And it comes to the line and is deflected out of play.
The goal that went off Randy Gregg, the standard rule is that if the goaltender comes out to play the puck, the defenseman circles in behind him just to get out of the way. But I think Gregg thought that Fuhr was just going to dump it into the corner, so he was going to go to the front of the net, off his glove and in.
Well, it was Smale unassisted at 10:47. Ellett from Olesen and Elnuck at 11:13. And then Ashton from Neufeld and Numminen at 11:41. Well, the previous record for the fastest 3 goals against the Edmonton Oilers was 38 seconds, and it still is the record, as a matter of fact. That was against St. Louis in 1982. The 3 Jet goals in 54 seconds. McTavish loses it along the boards to Elnuck. He dumps it down the ice, and going back after it is Randy Gregg. Gregg for Lacombe. Lacombe comes to the line, stopped there. Thomas Steen has it, gets it ahead to Elnuck. Elnuck putting on the brakes, looking for someone to pass to, takes a hit from Huddy, and the Edmonton defenseman plays it back of the net. Thomas Steen gets there, gives it to Elnuck, back to Steen. Steen fires it back of the Edmonton goal. Jim Kite racing in from the point, manages to keep it in the Edmonton zone. Norman Lacombe picks it up for the Oilers. 5:03 remaining in the period. Lacombe can't get out against Smale. Now McTavish gets a chance. He breaks away with Doug Smith and Charlie Huddy. And they're offside at the Winnipeg line. 4:53 is the time remaining in the opening period here at Northlands Coliseum.
Give me a hot, dusty...
Team at Olczyk for the Leafs. It's 2-1 Detroit. And now in the third period, the Kings continue to lead the Islanders 3-0.
The Islanders playing their second game under Al Arbour since taking over from Terry Simpson. And a tough loss in Arbour's debut to the New Jersey Devils. Penalty coming up here against the Edmonton Oilers. And with 4:39 remaining in the period, the Winnipeg Jets will have their first power play of the hockey game. It appears as though Jeff Bukaboom is heading to the penalty box.
Here's Jeff Bukaboom, and he's taking that little extra shot. I think they might call this one boarding. You could see him hit Paul Fenton, and at the last second, they called it roughing. Just took that extra step into Felt, used the arm, threw him into the boards, and they call it roughing. All right, wait.
Face off to the right of Grant Fuhr. The shots on goal now even at 10 apiece. For most of this period, the Oilers had quite a wide edge, but a late flurry by the Jets resulted in 3 goals. Randy Carlyle takes the shot. Now it's back to the net for Duncan. Duncan to McBain. McBain to Duncan. Tried to get it back to McBain to Carlyle. His shot, and it's deflected by Grant Fuhr. Ellett plays it into the corner to Duncan. He goes to the other side to McBain. Back to Duncan. To Hawerchuk. Hawerchuk goes cross ice to Carlyle. Fakes the shot to McBain. He tried to slide it in front. Was checked. And Messier brings it out for Edmonton.
See how quickly Charlie Huddy went. He saw that that pass was very hard to handle, so he went right through the man, was able to get it out.
Hawerchuk on the left side to Duncan. Duncan drives it in deep. Comes back to the line. Ellett for McBain. McBain to Duncan. Duncan back to the point to Carlyle. He lets the shot go. He scores!
Carlyle from the point. I don't know whether McBain tipped this one or not, but if it went straight in, it's not a great goal because look at how far out Carlyle is. Oh, it goes right by Craig Muni. Muni stepped out of the way, and Grant Fuhr was screened on that. Muni is lined up perfectly with Carlyle. Then at the last minute, he moves his leg, and you can see Fuhr look at his defenseman, more or less saying, what are you doing? If you're going to stand there, you better get it.
Carlyle from Duncan and McBain. A power play goal at 16:25. It's 4-2 Winnipeg. Neufeld dumps it into the corner. Puck picked up by Lowe. Down the other side to Curry for Acton. He has Tikkanen breaking with him. Drops it for Tikkanen, but in the process put himself offside.
Glenn Sather has to be a little worried about his team. They came out, they took it to the Jets. They were out shooting them 9-2 at one time. They were ahead 2-0. And then the Jets came storming back. They got one lucky goal, and now the Jets are playing with confidence. Everybody's jumping up into the play. Their defensemen are in front of the net. They're shooting everything at Grant Fuhr, and even though he hasn't had a chance on a couple of the goals, he doesn't look sharp.
Well, twice we have seen Winnipeg Jet defensemen right up almost in the crease on plays, and that's how Dave Ellett scored his goal on the pass from Freddie Olesen. In the center ice area now, circling is Curry. Curry tried to play it ahead to the line, looking for Acton, and it was broken up there by Winnipeg. Now it's Numminen in his own zone. To Kite. Kite for Neufeld, a two-line pass. 2:55 remains in the first period. Winnipeg leading 4-2.
Ray Neufeld was a teammate of mine in Hartford, and a lot was said. One of the reasons for John Ferguson's dismissal was the trade for Babbage for Neufeld, but Hartford's not that thrilled with Dave Babbage right now. And Ray Neufeld, you know exactly what you're going to get out of him. You don't expect too much. You expect maybe 20 to 25 goals a year. Gives you good, honest effort. Always in good shape. And you know what to expect. You can throw him out there checking situations. He's not going to get you a pile of goals, but he's always there.
Well, the line of Neufeld, Boschman, and Ashton in recent games has been quite effective. Smith in his own zone. Gets a return pass, now plays it ahead for Anderson. It's deflected down into Winnipeg territory. Chevrier gave it away, and it's loose in front of the net. Frederick Olofsson just got a stick on it to clear it.
Chevrier having trouble handling that puck, gave it away and almost caused him a goal.
And the Edmonton Oilers' Adams is offside as Messier brought it in across the line. Well, both goaltenders have been just a little careless in handling the puck in their own zone in this first period.
Chevrier talking to Olofsson. He goes back. Somebody hollered behind, and it was probably the Edmonton Oilers. There's Anderson. They can't find the puck. It's right in the crease. Fortunately for Chevrier, the Jets got there first.
Freddie Olofsson coming out of his own zone. Fires it into the corner. Smale racing after it. Deflected it in front. Nobody there. And it comes to the line and out. Elnick back after it. Graduate of Prince Albert Raiders. Dumped it to the line. Stopped there. Now Doug Smale gets it back to his own line to Freddie Olofsson. Olofsson dumps it down into Edmonton territory as Bukaboom starts out from behind his own net. Cuts right in front of the goal. Rather dangerous move by the Oiler defenseman as two Jets were right on top of him. Now Adams will try and get it out, and the Oilers are having some problems with the forechecking of the Jets here in the first period.
Jets taking away the boards, forcing the Oilers to go up the middle. And they're having trouble doing it.
Now Randy Gregg. Buckberger in on the right side for Lacombe. He centers it. A deflected shot, and Chevrier reacted to it. Back comes Dale Hawerchuk. He plays it off the glass and in with 1:12 remaining in the period. Back along the boards in the Edmonton zone. Finally, it's kicked out to center ice. Andrew McBain gathers it in to Numminen.
Last minute of play in the first period.
To Hawerchuk on the left side. Up along the boards, kept in by Ian Duncan. As Gregg stepped into Hawerchuk, the shot was right on, and Fuhr was forced to make the save.
There was a coaching change in the NHL this week, and I assume you'll address it.
Terry Simpson, going to talk about John Brophy, Glenn Sather, Terry Chris. Great stuff. Stay tuned.
That's why we call it the Coach's Corner. Join us in the first intermission.
And Mark Messier will also be an intermission guest. Messier with some added responsibilities this year for the Edmonton Oilers. And they tell me he's responded well to the leadership role that he has been cast in.
A lot more pressure now when you're the number one guy on the team. You're looked to for leadership on and off the ice, and Mark Messier has responded well for the Oilers.
From the face-off, Huddy gets it to Tikkanen. To Keith Acton for Curry. In across the line, Curry to Huddy, a shot right on, and Chevrier makes the save with Boschman picking up the rebound. Ashton dumps it deep into the Edmonton zone with Huddy back after it. For Tikkanen, his pass intercepted by Ashton in front to Neufeld, a backhander that went wide. Ashton goes after it in the corner. He has scored a goal tonight, his 8th of the season. Neufeld is bumped by Randy Gregg. The puck comes loose, back of the net now for Boschman. Freddie Olofsson was racing in from the point, but the pass never got there. Now Gregg and Neufeld bump again. Ashton gets it loose to Boschman. He can't go anywhere with it. And Curry gets it ahead to Tikkanen, who has lost his helmet. And with the seconds ticking it away, he fires at the length of the ice as the horn sounds to end the first period here at Northlands Coliseum. Carson and Tikkanen spotted the Oilers to a 2-0 lead, 3 goals in 54 seconds. Smale, Ellen, and Ashton put Winnipeg in front, and then a power play goal by Randy Carlyle for a Winnipeg lead after 20 minutes of play. Winnipeg 4, Edmonton 2, the score at the end of the first period.
Coach's Corner with Don Cherry.
Perhaps the number one story in hockey this week is from the New York Islanders camp, where Terry Simpson is fired and replaced by Al Arbour. And Don, you thought a good place to begin would be what firing you remember most, but please pick just one. We haven't got all evening.
Oh, there's a lot of them, is there? Well, I remember I was in Rochester, and the general manager called me, and he said, we're going to make a change in your department. I'm thinking, what poor guy is in my department? Me, gone. I remember that guy, he hired me the very first thing he said to a guy back of me after I was hired for 2 minutes, he said, what do you think Cherry will do? He says, well, you know, they're hired to be fired. And Terry Simpson, he is so happy he is out of there. Believe me, this guy's a good coach. He's a good coach. He was first place last year. Shows you what Potvin did to him. But, you know, injuries, the guy's got old. And I say it again, and Terry, if you're watching out there, and I know it's tough to talk like that, I've said it before, you should go to the American Hockey League. Junior coaches have a tough time dealing with the pros. You take the 4 first-place coaches. You got Burns with Sherbrooke, played in Sherbrooke, coached there. Demers, he was in Fredericton, I think. Umbriaco, nice to live. Umbriaco, he was in Baltimore for 15 years. Set a record, he was up there. And Terry Chris in Moncton. So you have to go, and Keenan in Rochester, and myself in Rochester. You have to go to the American League to know how you won't be throwing chocolate bars in the room and stuff like that like you do with juniors, because these guys got 5-year contracts for $300,000, and they'll quit on you.
So you know Don's story, too few people in his department and too many men on the ice. How about the Calgary Flames? They're the subject of Inside Hockey tonight and the hottest team in the NHL.
Well, I agree with Glenn Sather. I absolutely agree with him. They should have an investigation. 7 guys on that team are from St. Louis. You don't think St. Louis could use them? And the last one with Gilmore for Bullard, I won't even count. I wouldn't even traded Hunter for Bullard, and he's there, a big tough grinder, 30-goal scorer. Gilmore possibly the 3rd or 4th best center or player in the league, and they just give him to him. I agree with Glenn Sather. That's absolutely criminal. But let me tell you something, folks. This team is rolling along. It's unbelievable. I can't see any weakness, but the playoffs come, we're going to see what they're made of.
And you have to respect Cliff Fletcher for knowing to go back to a good well. What about the stay of execution for John Brophy, and how does this affect the players knowing that now it's supposedly until Christmas to determine their coach's fate?
You know, I hate this twisting in the wind. If you're going to get rid of the guy, get rid of him. Don't say, big, remember the one headline, axe posed by Stellick to cut head off. How do you think the players feel about this? When is this guy going? When is this guy? It's like a lame duck coach. Either get rid of the guy or say he's here for the year and mean it. Don't say this way, well, maybe Christmas. What is it, January next? And then what do we go, Boxing Day and stuff like that? That's cruel. It's absolutely cruel to what they're doing to John Brophy. Either get rid of the guy or keep him, because the players are saying, what's going to happen? Is he going to go? And he doesn't have the same control.
Don Cherry in defense of coaches, including Terry Simpson.
Can I say something? What do I think?
Well,
all right. I want to say something. When I predicted Gretzky would win the scoring title, and he fell 15 points behind, you mentioned it 3 times in a row. How come you're not mentioning it now?
Wayne Gretzky and Mario Lemieux are tied for first place in the NHL scoring race. Molson Hockey Night in Canada on CBC returns in a moment.
On our Hockey Night in Canada out-of-town scoreboard, the Flames in Hartford to meet the Whalers. They're scoreless in the second period. Calgary unbeaten in 13 games. The Kings continue to lead 3-0 over the Islanders. Al Arbour looking for his first win. Any win for the Islanders. They have lost 9 straight games. This afternoon, it was the Rangers and the Bruins tied at 1. The Rangers move into first place ahead of Pittsburgh. In the Patrick division, Bruins have won just 3 of their last 16. The other afternoon game was at the Spectrum in Philadelphia. The Flyers not too far off the pace in the Patrick race. 3 goals today by Derek Smith. That was one of them to pace the Flyers over the struggling Chicago Blackhawks. Why have they lost 9 in a row? This is a pretty good indication. Jimmy Waite hands it to Scott Mellenby, who in turn puts it right back in the net. That made it 5-2, a late rally by Mike Keenan's Blackhawks, who are fighting each other in practice, but not putting up much of a fight against opposition players. Murray with 2, but 2-goal difference in this one. Philadelphia wins it 6-4. In other action, Washington and Montreal are scoreless in the first intermission. The Detroit Red Wings lead Toronto 2-1. Bob Probert with his second goal in as many games against the Maple Leafs. No score in Minnesota. The North Stars playing pretty good hockey against St. Louis as Greg Millen tries to start another shutout string. And New Jersey and Pittsburgh, the Devils now leading 3-0 in the second period. Here at the Northlands Coliseum, it's 4-2 Winnipeg. After 1 from Northlands Coliseum in Edmonton, this is Molson Hockey Night in Canada on CBC.
Canada comes to you from the Forum in Montreal as the Adams Division leading Canadians take on the Patrick Division leading New York Rangers. But the great interest in that game, particularly in Montreal, is the return of Guy Lafleur. Lafleur making his first visit back to the Forum where he starred for so many years for the Montreal Canadiens. And John Garrett, they tell me they're getting quite a price for tickets in Montreal for that encounter.
They were saying at the start of the week they were up to about $400 for a ticket for that game. I'm sure by the time the game rolls around, you'll be talking about a quick grand to go and watch Guy play.
Well, Lafleur made a western swing with the New York Rangers, and in every city he played in, you could hear during the course of a game a chant from the crowd of Guy, Guy, Guy. He still is a very popular individual. Well, when the Edmonton Oilers trail after their first period, their record is 3-7-1. The Winnipeg Jets have a 5-2-2 mark when they are leading after the first period. Winnipeg Jets, remember, had two big leads on Tuesday and Thursday against the Los Angeles Kings. On Tuesday, they were in front 4-1 and finally won 5-4 in overtime and a goal by Pat Elnick. And then on Thursday night, they were in front 5-1 midway through the second period. They wound up in a 5-all tie as Wayne Gretzky put on quite a show, a goal and 3 assists.
In that game Thursday, they built up that lead. Here tonight, it was 1 minute, and they just piled in 3 goals and got the lead from the Oilers.
Curry at the line, stopped by Jim Kite, the puck loose. Curry gets it again. Over on the wing, Tikkanen with a long shot. The rebound, Curry a backhander. Loose puck centered as Acton was looking for Tikkanen, and it missed him. The Jets bring it in across the line. Back there to gather it in is veteran defenseman Kevin Lowe. Thomas Steen in deep, forechecking for Winnipeg. Long lead pass now. Acton on the right side for Tikkanen. Tikkanen was upset. The fans reacted, thinking there should have been a penalty. Back comes Doug Smale. The lead pass in across the line to Elnick. Now to Steen. He was looking for Smale, and it bounced away from him out to the neutral zone. Elnick gets it to Steen. Steen tried to get it back to Dave Ellett. It bounced off the stick, and it's brought out by the Oilers on the left side for Adams. Too far. Newman back there to touch it for an icing call against Edmonton.
Teppo Numminen is only 20 years old. Played in the Swedish Elite League for 4 years, as we said earlier. One of the very few guys to do it. He's highly rated by the Winnipeg Jets and every European scout. They have a scale in Europe where they rate junior players on a 0 to 11 scale, and Teppo Numminen was rated a 12, I think. The way he's played, he's justified the scout's evaluation.
Well, he has just had an assist taken away from him, and it's been given to assistant captain Laurie Boschman. That was on the goal by Ashton. Neufeld and Boschman getting assists on that goal.
Boschman took the original shot, and then Neufeld just tipped over the rebound to Ashton, and Fuhr was down. Couldn't react to the rebound. Ashton put it in the net.
A minute and 6 seconds has been played in the second period. Winnipeg in front 4-2. From the face-off, it's Adams playing it up along the boards. Anderson to Messier. Over on the left side for Adams. Adams is bodied. Olsen plays it back to the net. Anderson is there, having trouble with Ellett. Tries to get it out front. And Chevrier, out of his goal, plays it up along the boards. Lead pass for Boschman, too far. And the Oilers dump it out into the center ice area. The Jets regain control. Ahead to Boschman. Boschman is bodied by Messier. The puck comes into the Edmonton zone, and it's picked up by Bukaboo. Lead pass now to Messier. On the right side for Anderson. Back to Messier. Messier drops it off. Buckberger with a shot right on. Loose puck in front of the net. And finally, Chevrier grabs it and covers up.
Dave Ellett's down. Buckberger, high stick, caught him in the face.
18:02 the time remaining, and we'll be right back after this message.
There's Dave Ellett just getting up after he got Kelly Bookberger's stick in the head. Watch Bookberger going after his own rebound. He spins around right there. He's trying to reach for the puck. He's trying to lift his stick over Dave Ellett. He sees the puck. Now watch him. He's trying to go over Ellett's head to get at the puck. And he hit him right in the face with his stick.
How can he miss that?
You can see the Jets bench hollering at referee Kerry Fraser.
And of course, Maloney wondering why a penalty was not called on that play. I think he has some justification for questioning the fact that there was no call. Now the Jets break out of their own zone. Boschman in across the line, and Winnipeg's Andrew McBain was offside. 4-2 is the score here at Northlands Coliseum. Chris, have you got some other scores for us?
Don, this score will be good news for both the Jets and the Oilers. Hartford has scored first. The Oilers on a goal by Sylvain Turgeon lead the Flames 1-0 in the second period. And Gary Nyland has scored for the Islanders, but it's midway through the third period. They're still down by 2.
At that Winnipeg bench, Chuck Badcock working on a cut just on the side of the nose of Winnipeg defenseman Dave Ellett.
The referees said they were going to get a little more lenient as the season progressed on that stick rule. There was definitely no intent to injure the Buckberger. He was just going for the puck, and Kerry Fraser let it go.
Andy Carlisle trying to keep it in at the point. It bounces over to Taglianetti. He was looking to center it, intercepted by the Oilers. They break out. Lacombe in across the line. Fires it to the side of the net. Carlisle picks it up for Winnipeg. 17:30 remaining in the second period. Winnipeg in front by a score of 4-2. Carlisle into the center ice area. Duncan shoots it in. It's blocked by Huddy and dumped back out. Duncan fires it in again, then takes a check. Now Huddy forced in his own zone. Taglianetti at the point. Takes a long shot that goes wide of the net. Good hit along the boards as Lacombe was bumped there by Duncan. Lacombe comes up with the puck. He dumps it down into the Winnipeg zone as the Oilers make a change. Carson in the neutral zone. Gets it ahead to Muni. Muni dumps it into Winnipeg territory. It's stopped there for Taglianetti. Andrew McBain unable to get up. Taglianetti will try and come out the other side. Gets it up along the boards for Duncan. Back to Carlisle. And he clears the zone. 16:36 remaining in the second period. Winnipeg leading by a score of 4-2. All the goals scored in the opening period. Dumped down the ice, racing after it is Ian Duncan along with Lowe. And Lowe apparently got his stick on it as Duncan crashed heavily into the end boards for an icing call against Winnipeg, and Duncan is still down. He really went into those end boards heavily as he was trying to get that icing call waved off, trying to be first down there to touch that puck.
Kevin Lowe did a good job, and Duncan gets off balance reaching for the puck. Lowe just got the left arm on him, and he crashed into the board.
16:21 is the time remaining as Winnipeg trainer Chuck Badcock is out there again looking at Ian Duncan. The Jets, after tonight's game, will charter to Vancouver where they take on the Canucks tomorrow night, winding up a 4-game road trip. They're home for 1 game Wednesday against Buffalo before heading east for a pair of games. And this is the record that the Winnipeg Jets have posted against their Smythe Division rivals. They started with a 6-3 win over Vancouver, then lost to the Flames. They had an overtime win and a tie against Los Angeles, playing tonight here in Edmonton and tomorrow in Vancouver. So they go up against all of their Smythe Division rivals in the space of a week.
Not only every game a 4-point game in your own division, but going into the playoffs, that's one thing each team looks at and say, well, Winnipeg has done well against Edmonton or Calgary. They have to play them in the first round, and it gives everybody confidence if you do have a good regular season record.
Not a good night for Bowling Green grads. First Dave Ellett hurt, and then Ian Duncan hurt. The two of them were teammates for a year with Bowling Green the year they won the NCAA championship.
That's something you can't buy, is that winning attitude, and both of them on that NCAA championship team.
16:21 remaining in the second period. Acton against Steen. Steen kicks it ahead. Now it goes into the corner. Kite pokes it up along the boards. And the Jets finally clear the zone. Muni back to his own line, trying to set up the attack for Edmonton. Forced in deep by the forechecking of the Jets. Dumped out into the center ice area. Fired right back into the Oilers zone. Doug Smale dumps it along the boards. He's upset on the check by Muni. Out comes Gary Curry. Curry's pass along the wing for Tikkanen. Broken up by Winnipeg. The battle continues. And finally the loose puck picked up by Keith Acton. Acton looking for Tikkanen. It deflected. It's loose in the center ice area. And Jim Kite retreats into his own zone after it. 15:31, the time remaining in period 2. Winnipeg leading by a score of 4-2. Here come the Oilers. Tikkanen in across the line. A shot right on. Chevrier makes the save. Puck comes back to the line. Bookeboom shoots it in. Curry deflected it out front. Cleared to the boards by Chevrier. Now it's Elnick. Back of his own net for Numanen. Can't get it out. Bookeboom directs a weak shot in front of the net. Comes back to the line. Kept in by the Oilers. Edmonton now applying the pressure as they battle for it along the boards. Adams trying to get it loose. The Jets finally go to the other side. And finally, they manage to get it out of the zone. Doug Smale for Winnipeg shoots it in, and then the Jets make a wholesale change. And Smale had it deflect over the glass and out of play. 14:42, time remaining in period 2.
I'll be home for Christmas. You can plan on me. Please have snow and mistletoe.
For just the right gift, come home for Christmas.
I'll be home for Christmas.
Home Hardware for this Sunbeam corn popper at just $27.97.
Luke Robitaille has scored his 21st of the year to restore the Kings' 3-goal lead in Uniondale.
And it's 4-2 Winnipeg here at Northlands Coliseum. Dave Ellett plays it out into the center ice area. Loose puck picked up by Ashton, working against Bookeboom. Lost control of it. And Anderson gets it for Edmonton. Anderson forced into his own zone by Neufeld. Anderson along the boards, having problems getting out. Boschman has it. Boschman is knocked off the puck by Messier. Messier tried to move out, lost control of it. Finally gets some follow-up help from Smith. Knocked down into the zone. And Adams was cutting for the net, but he was being tied up there by Boschman. Penalty coming up against the Edmonton Oilers. A delayed call as the Jets get Chevrier out of the net. It's dumped in. But before they can get the extra man over the boards, it's touched by the Oilers. With 13:57 remaining in the second, the Jets go to the power play.
Once upon a time this winter, 3 cars had trouble with hesitation from gas line freezer. And in cold, damp weather, stalling. Oh my. Not to mention rough idling. Goodness me. Then along came specially formulated SO No Trouble gasoline for winter. Aren't happy endings fun?
Greg Adams takes an elbowing penalty at 6:03 in the offensive zone. Here he is. It's on Boschman from behind after Boschman had already got rid of the puck. And that's a bad penalty to take, especially when your team is trailing 4-2.
Well, Glenn Sather saw his Oilers jump in front 2-0 in the first period, and it appeared as though they were in total control. And a rather strange bounce and a strange goal ignited Winnipeg, and they scored 3 times in 54 seconds. And then got a power play goal by Randy Carlyle for their 4-2 lead. Here's Ellett with a shot, knocked down by Huddy. Ellett at the side of the net. McBain picks it up. McBain still controlling for Winnipeg. Gives it to Duncan. Duncan for McBain. It was deflected. Comes back to the point. Carlyle. Behind the goal for Howarchuk. He centered it. Nobody there. And it's fired out by the Edmonton Oilers.
Another good chance for the Winnipeg Jets, and Grant Pure did come up with a big save.
Hawerchuk back to the line for Ellett. Back to Hawerchuk, moving in, fakes the shot, still moving in, takes the shot, and Pure steers that to the corner. Another penalty coming up as Duncan was high stick by Kevin Lowe, and the Jets will have a two-man advantage.
And referee Kerry Fraser's right there. He wants to check Duncan out and look for that 5-minute penalty.
That comes with 1:05 remaining in the penalty to Greg Adams, so the Winnipeg Jets will have a two-man advantage.
Kevin Lowe reaching from behind. Now watch him reach from behind on Duncan over the shoulder, and he catches him in the face.
So that comes with 13:02 left to play in the second.
Home is where a friendly smile, after all that road and all those miles, makes it all worthwhile. Home is where you keep your Coors. That's easy-going Coors. Cold gold. Smooth as gold, cold as an unexpected shower. So next time you're having a long day, ask the folks back home to keep the light burning on the porch and the Coors on ice in the fridge.
Kevin Lowe's high sticking penalty at 6:58 is only 2 minutes. It went off Duncan's shoulder and then caught him in the face. There was no blood. It was definitely not intentional. He was going for the stick, so he only gets a 2-minute penalty.
So the Jets with a two-man advantage, but Smith gains control. Tries to get it out. Picked up by Ashton. The pass, they score! Thomas Steen!
Again, it looked like the Oilers were going to get it out. They didn't. Olofsson makes a good play at the blue line. Okay, there it is. Ashton to Steen. Steen's ready. He's screaming for the puck. We can hear him up here. And he's got his stick ready, and he just one-times it past Grant Pure. Olofsson made the good play at the blue line to keep that one in. It looked like it was going to go out. All the Oilers let up. When they let up, Steen was right there to pass Pure.
Only the fourth goal of the season for Thomas Steen, with Ashton and Olofsson drawing the assists. And there is still 1:47 remaining in the penalty to Kevin Lowe. And as you mentioned, John, it was a heads-up play by Freddie Olofsson that enabled the Jets to keep the puck in the Edmonton zone, and Ashton to set up Thomas Steen. Now Olofsson gets it ahead to Steen. Steen gets it ahead to Ashton. Ashton breaking in, and Ashton is hauled down. There's another penalty coming up against the Edmonton Oilers. Another two-man advantage for Winnipeg.
The Winnipeg Jets are really skating now. The first 10 minutes, it looked like they couldn't find their legs. Traveled from LA, maybe that's why, but now they're really going. Ashton up the middle, and this is a good penalty by Huddy. Ashton's in by himself. You can see Huddy reaching from behind, definitely hooking him, but Ashton had a breakaway.
So with 1:22 remaining in the penalty to Kevin Lowe, the Winnipeg Jets have another two-man advantage.
Here's the pass. Now look at Ashton. He's in full flight, and the defense is standing still, so Huddy has to reach, and he hooks his arm. Down goes Ashton, and that was the hooking penalty.
Well, Winnipeg's power play ranks number 3 in the National Hockey League. Edmonton's penalty killing unit is first in the NHL, but they don't like to work 5 against 3.
Winnipeg Jets, especially when they're passing the puck as well as they are tonight, you don't want to be out there killing penalties for minutes at a time, 10 minutes at a time.
Ellett in across the line, puts on the brakes. Dishes it off to McBain, back to Carlisle. Carlisle to McBain, he lets it go. One-timing it, ricochets off the boards and down the ice.
5-on-3, you don't really want your winger on the offside board shooting that puck like McBain did. Now the Jets have to go all the way back and regroup.
An errant pass as the Jets have to regroup again. Now it's Carlisle in across the line for Duncan. Duncan playing it around the boards for Hawerchuk. He lets it go to Ellett back at the point. Ellett gives it into Hawerchuk to McBain, and Grant Pure got a piece of that one. McBain plays it back of the net for Hawerchuk. Hawerchuk for McBain. McBain to Carlisle. Carlisle takes the shot. Pure makes the save, and he goes down to cover up. 13 seconds remaining in the penalty to Lowe, 51 in the penalty to Charlie Huddy. McBain had a great chance to put the Jets in front by 4.
McBain in front of the net being handled by Craig Muni. Muir down on that shot from the point. I don't think he saw it all the way. He was able to control the rebound as it hit him in the midsection. Good action in front of the net. It goes across to Carlisle. Here's the other one to McBain, and he almost misses that shot off the toe of his stick. Muir didn't even have to make a save. Now here's a shot by Carlisle. You can see right through Duncan. Grant Muir was fortunate that it hit him and didn't go in, and unfortunate that he's hurt.
Muir still down. Peter Miller, the athletic therapist, out looking after him, and Bill Ranford is poised and ready if he should have to go for the Edmonton Oilers as a replacement.
You're never that ready. I know the feeling. You're sitting there as a backup goaltender. You've been standing for an hour. You don't really want to go in.
Well, Muir is skating around now, and he will continue as the Edmonton Oilers goaltender. Shots on goal now reading 18-16 in favor of the Winnipeg Jets. Still 13 seconds remaining in the two-man advantage. 11:15 time left to play in this second period.
Gives the Oiler penalty killers a little break with that injury to Grant Muir.
Steen against Messier in the face-off circle. Puck comes to the line, kept in by Newman, and he lets the shot go. It's wide. Off the boards to the line to Olofsson, over to Newman, into Steen. Blows back out of the box. Newman fakes the shot over to Olofsson. He dishes it off at the side of the net. Elnick takes the shot. It's blocked. Elnick battling for that loose puck. Goes to the corner. Elnick leaves it there for Steen. He's bumped by Lowe. Comes back to the line. Nobody in position. And the Jets with 20 seconds left in the penalty to Charlie Huddy. Have to regroup in the center ice area. Newman falls. Curry comes in across the line. Centers it for Tikkanen. He scores!
Newman had fell down, and the team with the most shorthanded goals in the NHL strikes again. They're 17th of the year. Here's Chevrier up to Newman, and now he tries to turn. He falls down. He recovers. Poke checks the puck. Now nobody picks up Tikkanen. Both defensemen go for Curry, and there's Tikkanen all by himself.
The 18th of the season for Esa Tikkanen, his second of the game, and his 7th shorthanded goal this season. And as a team, the Oilers have scored 17 shorthanded goals. Kevin Lowe looking for Tikkanen with the lead pass, knocked down by Paul Fenton. He takes a hit in the center ice area. Taglianetti along the boards, had a little difficulty picking it up. Finally dumps it in as Muni goes back into his own zone. Muni checked behind the net. The puck is loose, and it's picked up by Curry. Curry in across the line. Takes a shot, he scores!
A good crisscross play at the blue line by Tikkanen and Curry. Now watch Tikkanen. He cuts across at the blue line, creates some room for Curry right there. Curry takes a look, a perfect shot in the far corner, low along the ice, just inside the post. Now watch where this one hits. Boom, no chance for Chevrier.
Curry's 20th of the season, unassisted at 10:06. Suddenly it's a one-goal game. Well, in 2 games in Los Angeles, the Winnipeg Jets had problems protecting a 3-goal lead and a 4-goal lead. They were in front by 3 here at Northlands Coliseum against the Edmonton Oilers. Keith Acton in the center ice area for Muni. Muni below, he loses it. Donnelly dumps it in. He and McClellan are back after serving their 2-minute minors and 10-minute misconduct for that first period incident. Low for Muni. He leaves it there for Tikkanen. Tikkanen is looking for Acton. It was behind him. The Oilers forced back into their own zone by some solid forechecking by the Jets. Now Curry hits Acton with Tikkanen. Tikkanen in across the line for Acton. Working against Olofsson, tried to center it, and it's picked up by Dave Hunter. Hunter ahead to Donnelly. He couldn't control it. And the Edmonton Oilers Bookavoon takes over in his own zone. Now to Curry. Curry in across the line against Olofsson. Curry backhands a shot. A weak one that Chevrier steers to the corner. Penalty coming up against the Winnipeg Jets. A delayed call with 8:43 remaining in the second period. And Winnipeg in front by a score of 5-4.
Legendary sophistication. Legendary appointments. New Mercury Sable. No wonder the night has 1,000 eyes.
Dave Hunter takes a holding penalty at 11:17, and the Oilers go on the power play with a chance to tie it up. Here's Curry at the end of a long shift, and he's still able to cut towards the net, one hand on the stick, and there's Hunter taking his man right to the net, but holding it.
The Oilers have scored one power play goal already tonight. That by Carson in the first period. Here comes Messier to Anderson. Anderson plays it high on the glass around the boards. Carson keeps it in. Carson in front. Messier back to Huddy. Over to Smith. The shot that hit a skate. Huddy at the line. To Messier. To Huddy. To Smith. In deep. Carson trying to center it. Chevrier got a piece of it. Messier. The side of the net. Carson. Back to the point to Smith. Return pass to Carson. To Smith. He lets it go. Got steered to the corner by Chevrier. Lumina. Trying to play it out. It's loose back to the net. Kite battling there with Carson. Messier comes in as well. Gets it loose to Smith. Smith back to the line to Huddy. Huddy lets the shot go high off the glass. Good pressure by the Oilers as they move it around in that Winnipeg zone. Carson. It off to Messier. Messier for Huddy. It bounced away from him. Jumped into the corner. Huddy gets it back to Anderson. To the line to Messier. Entire power play has been in that Winnipeg zone. Now Anderson back to the line to Smith. Smith plays it back to the net for Carson. Carson was looking for Anderson. It bounced off the skate. Carson goes and gets it. And finally, the Winnipeg Jets dump it down the ice just as the penalty expires. So the entire 2 minutes, the Edmonton Oilers had that puck in the Winnipeg zone.
But they never had a shot on goal. The whole 2 minutes they controlled the play, but couldn't get any good shots on Alan Chevrier.
Fenton back to the line for Olofsson. Lets the shot go. It's deflected as Fuhr came out of his net with Paul Fenton looking for a rebound. Acton to Tikkanen at the line, broken up. The Oilers get the puck back in the center ice area, and Tikkanen dumps it into the Winnipeg zone with 6:07 remaining in the second period. Winnipeg leading by a score of 5-4. Freddie Olofsson leading the rush. Olofsson on the wing to Fenton. A shot. Fuhr gets a piece of that one. Now the Oilers come back. Good end-to-end action here late in the second period. McTavish stopped at the line. Lead pass. Olofsson to Duncan. Duncan is looking for Ellis. A trailer on the play, and it was knocked down by Kevin Lowe. 5:36. The time remaining in the second period. Puck fired deep into the Winnipeg zone. Chevrier gets it up along the boards for Neufeld to Duncan. Back to Neufeld. Neufeld takes a shot wide of the net. 5-4. The Winnipeg Jets in front of the Edmonton Oilers. Lead pass broken up at the line by Taglianetti. He's checked. The puck is loose, and Randy Carlyle takes over. Carlyle for Neufeld. Neufeld in across the line. Dumps it into the corner, takes a hit from McClelland along the boards, and McTavish fires it rink wide. Looking for Doug Smith, too far for him. Back after it is Taglianetti. Taglianetti having some problems in the corner. Dumps it up along the boards to Ashton. He deflects it out into the center ice area. Fired right back in. 4:46 left in the second. Winnipeg leading 5-4. The Jets were ahead 4-2 after the first period, and it moved in front 5-2 in the second before the Oilers scored a shorthanded goal, and then a fine solo effort by Yari Curry to draw within one.
Introducing power tools designed to work as one with your hand. The revolutionary Black & Decker M47 series. More compact for better control, greater accuracy, and driven by the most powerful motor for its size we've ever built. The M47 series power tools. They work with your hand as if they were one. From Black & Decker, look for the money-back guarantee of quality.
Mirko Preacher has scored a pair of goals against his old team as the Red Wings lead the Maple Leafs 5-2 in the second period, but no scoring in Montreal through 40 minutes between Washington and the Canadiens.
Red Wings looking for their second straight over the Leafs, having won 4-3 last night.
Sure, that must drive John Brophy nuts. He and Mirko Preacher aren't exactly close friends.
Face off to the left of Chevrier. McBain into the circle against Buckberger. From the face-off, puck goes right to the net. Luminen plays it up along the wing. And the Jets start out with Dave Hunter. He dumps it into the Edmonton zone. Anderson plays it to the wing. McBain was in deep to force it along the boards and hold it against Smith for
It's hard to believe that these two teams were involved the last time here in a 2-1 overtime game that was one of the tightest, best checking games that we've seen all year. This has turned into a wide-open shootout.
The first time they met on October 9th here at Northlands, Edmonton won 5-4 after Winnipeg had jumped into a 3-0 lead in that game. They tied 3-3 in Winnipeg on October 16th. Edmonton on November 16th, and it was a 2-1 overtime win. Buckberger racing down the left side, drops it back, shot goes wide off the stick of Glenn Anderson on the backhand. Fired back into the Winnipeg zone. Jim Kite goes back after it. And it's played out into the center ice area. Fired back in, and now the Jets come back. Newmanen for McBain. McBain on the wing. Donnelly takes a shot. Pure gets it and dumps it off to the wing. Fired down the ice by the Oilers. Chevrier way out of his net. Declared. Here's a chance for McBain. McBain with a shot. Pure coming out to challenge, making the big save.
Good save by Grant Pure. Standing on his feet, he was out there, challenged McBain. McBain couldn't beat him.
McBain will try again. He has Hunter with him. Gives it to the former Oiler. He's taken in against the boards by Lowe. Norman Lacombe also comes in, and the puck is tied up along the boards for a face-off with 3:11 left to play in the second.
Get a university degree paid for. Study history, physics, medicine, engineering, name it. Join students like these who are getting a university degree, a salary, and that important first job, all paid for by the Canadian Armed Forces. Want a degree and a future? We're under recruiting in the Yellow Pages. Choose a career. Live the adventure.
If you want a line change, you better keep the puck away from the goalie. Here, the Oilers get caught, and McBain has a clear-cut breakaway. Pure comes out and makes the big save.
And Elaine Chevrier, the goaltender who started that play, has 3 assists this season.
The Jets using 2 free agent goaltenders. How many teams in the league can say they even have one that hasn't come up through the draft process?
You know, speaking about the draft, they always say that's the only way to build. Well, since 1982, the Oilers only have 3 draft choices in their lineup. Lukaboom was number 1 in 83. Tikkanen was taken in the 4th round. And they took Kelly Buchberger late in 1985. Back at the line, Freddie Olofsson with a shot. You're out of his net to challenge again. Loose puck. Thomas Dean in front to Smale. He couldn't get a shot away, and there's an injured Edmonton Oiler. Craig Muni is down. And that's the reason for the whistle with 3 minutes remaining in the second period. While Glenn Sather only has 3 draft selections in the lineup since '82, the Winnipeg Jets, since 1982, have 8 of their draft selections playing in tonight's game.
We were talking about that when Terry Simpson got fired. The New York Islanders, their inability to build through the draft, they've had a lot better draft choices than the Edmonton Oilers, but the Oilers traded for some draft choices, Chris Joseph, Jimmy Carson, and all of a sudden they have some very high first-round picks playing on the Edmonton Oilers team.
Well, talking about draft picks, Craig Muni was a number 1 choice of the Toronto Maple Leafs in 1980, signed by the Edmonton Oilers as a free agent.
Few of those floating around. Randy Carlyle of the Winnipeg Jets was a first pick of the Toronto Maple Leafs. He wasn't a first rounder, but he was their first pick 1 year.
Face off to the left of Fuhr after looking a little shaky in the first period. They score, Elnick! They no sooner speak about Fuhr, and Elnick gets that puck and quickly whistles it past him for a 2-goal Winnipeg lead right from the faceoff. Prior to that, Fuhr had made some good saves in this period.
You can watch Esa Tikkanen's reaction to this one. That's his guy, and look at where he's standing. Now look at him shake his head after the goal. Elnick with a quick wrist shot by Grant Fuhr, but right from a faceoff, everybody has an assignment. And that was Esa Tikkanen, was supposed to be out there on Elnick. He wasn't. Elnick with that good hands, good shot, beats Grant Fuhr.
He was the number 1 pick of the Jets in 1986, playing his junior hockey with the Prince Albert Raiders for Terry Simpson, the former coach of the New York Islanders. Steen draws the assist. It comes at 17:03. An icing call against Winnipeg with 2:44 left to play in the second. Winnipeg in front by 2.
The Calgary Flames, hockey's hottest team, have put together a 13-game undefeated streak. More on Inside Hockey coming up, second intermission.
Will that streak be extended to 14? The Flames having some problems tonight.
Hartford's starting to play better. They're losing 1-0 into Hartford. Hartford's on a little bit of a roll. They just destroyed Buffalo the other night, playing a little better, especially at home.
Face off to the right of Chevrier. Acton and Boschman tie each other up. Finally, Boschman comes away with it and dumps it out. Acton gets it back. On the right side for Curry. Curry with a shot high up into the stands. 6-4 is the score here. Chris, other scores tonight, please.
Well, the Islanders tried to come back, but the Kings hang on for a 4-3 win. They move 2 points ahead of the Oilers into second place in the Smythe division. And we have another score for you. The St. Louis Blues now lead the North Stars 1-0 in Minnesota in the second.
You know, you talked about the New York Islanders and Terry Simpson being there as coach. He didn't have the luxury of tapping Dennis Potvin or Mike Bossy on the shoulder, or a young Brian Trottier, sending them over the boards.
I think his big mistake was getting rid of Bobby Nystrom in the summertime. He lost that contact with the old regime in those 4 Stanley Cups.
Curry tried to center it. Allen goes into the corner, battling with Carson, comes loose to Adams. Adams trying the wraparound, was knocked away by Boschman. Smith in the corner, fighting there with Mufeld. Adams comes in to help out, but Olofsson gets his stick in the puck. Olofsson off the boards for Ashton. Ashton trying to go for the net, centers it as he's hammered into the end board by Bookaboo. There was nobody in front. Now at the side of the net, picked up by Tikkanen. Tikkanen dumps it down the ice, and Carson takes it, but it's a two-line pass.
Randy Mitten was right there at the red line, and Carson took the step across, put himself offside. And there's not much complaining by the Oilers. It was right in front of their bench. They saw it all the way.
1:52 the time left in this second period. You know, these clubs and their records this year, they aren't all that much different from a year ago. A year ago, the Winnipeg Jets at this stage of the season had 25 points. The Edmonton Oilers had 38 points.
That was part of the Jets' problem. They were solidly in third. They stayed in third all year, got complacent. Come playoff time, they couldn't turn it on.
Jim Kite with a shot that is knocked down in front. The Jets break it up in the center ice area. Numminen knocked it away. Randy Gregg gets it back. Dumped in by Adams. Paul Fenton in his own zone. Fenton, who was acquired from Los Angeles in a trade for Gilles Hamel, tried to clear the zone, and it goes up over the glass and out of play.
Paul Fenton's older than Gilles Hamel, but he has a lot better control of the puck. He can't shoot it as well. I think the Kings were looking for a more grinder-type winger. Felt they had enough finesse players, and Paul Fenton is a much better finesse player than Gilles Hamel. The Jets felt they needed him. Straight 1-for-1, probably helped both teams.
Played at Boston University, was initially signed by Hartford and then a free agent by Los Angeles. Randy Gregg in his own zone. To the captain, Messier. On the right side for Anderson. Anderson going for the net, fired it over top of the goal. Anderson tried to bang it back to the line, and it got away from Huddy. Randy Gregg gets it over to Huddy. For Messier. Messier looking again on that right wing for Anderson as we move into the final minute of the period. This time the Jets broke it up.
When they had Craig Simpson in the lineup, he's hurt tonight. They had Anderson, Simpson, and Carson playing together. Now they've got Messier and Anderson back together, and I think it really works.
Two-line pass again as he was touched by Anderson, the reason for the whistle.
Mark Messier is one of the few players on the Edmonton Oilers that can skate with Glenn Anderson. I think that's why the two work so well together. Here's Messier up the middle. Now Anderson streaking down the other side. Messier gives it to him. He goes top shelf. He's got some room, but he shot it too high. Chevrier was on the way down. Anderson made the right play, just missed the net.
Talk about Anderson and Messier being reunited. Messier instinctively knew where Anderson was going to be going and fed that pass perfectly to him as he was breaking in. Off Anderson's stick into the Winnipeg zone. The Jets dump it out. Boschman lost it. Goes over to Neufeld, however. Now Messier retreats to pick it up for Edmonton. To Randy Gregg. He was looking for Anderson, who was breaking at the Winnipeg line. Broken up by Boschman. Dumped down into Edmonton territory. Messier has it. Messier rink wide for Anderson. Anderson is forced back into his own zone. Stolen by Neufeld. And out of his net is Fuhr to make the save. Boschman gets it. Boschman against the boards as the Oilers got careless in their own zone as the seconds tick away. Neufeld intercepting that pass deep in Edmonton territory, and Fuhr had to be alert to make the save. Winnipeg moved in front on a power play goal by Steen at 7:07, but then a shorthanded goal and a goal by Curry brought the Oilers within one before Pat Elnuck made it a 6-4 game at 17:03. And the shots on goal favor Winnipeg 25-22. And so the score at the end of the second, Winnipeg 6, Edmonton 4.
Celebrate the holiday season with Anne Murray's Family Christmas.
Santa Claus is coming to town.
Join Anne and her special guests, Alan Thicke, Glenn Campbell, Brian Orser, and George Fox.
Santa Claus is coming.
Family, friends, and music on Anne Murray's Family Christmas. Sunday, December 11th. Brought to you in part by Whiskas.
On the next Fifth Estate, an evangelist, television, and money.
Could you go to your mommy and daddy and say, I'll give up my allowance for a month or two to save the life of a little girl? a little boy in Ethiopia.
I find it scandalous. And the sooner these people are booted off the air, the happier I am.
The Fifth Estate, Tuesday at 8:30 in Newfoundland on CBC Television.
Fetal tissue transplants, the medical and ethical implications on the best years. Wednesday at 7:30, 8 o'clock in Newfoundland.
Water and healthy soil, the key to human survival. When abused, the land can no longer sustain life, forcing people into the slums of big cities. But there is an alternative. Wednesday on The Nature of Things with David Suzuki, when the wells run dry and return to the land.
It's a dangerous game. Espionage. The search for a killer spy.
Hello, shut himself, Benny.
Len Dayton's bestseller, Game, Set, and Match, Thursday.
Action!
Don't miss the unpredictable comedy troupe Codco.
Good evening, and welcome to Ya Canadians Are Interesting People.
Everything you're looking for in unusual humor.
It's got depth. You can quote me on that.
Codco, Thursday on CBC Television.
CBC News with Knowlton Nash.
Good evening. Here are some of the stories we're working on for tonight's National. The Soviet Union held a day of mourning today for the earthquake victims in Armenia. A mountain of coffins waits for the dead, now officially numbered at 45,000. But no one knows how many victims remain trapped under tons of debris. Soviet leader Mikhail Gorbachev is now in Armenia, as are foreign rescue teams. In Norway, United Nations Secretary General Peres de Cuellar today accepted the 1988 Nobel Peace Prize on behalf of UN peacekeeping forces. 733 soldiers have died during peacekeeping missions over the past 40 years. Here at home, the Federal Liberal Party has decided to postpone its next national convention. It'll be held in Calgary in October. The decision gives John Turner more time to consider his future. We'll have more on these and other stories later tonight on The National.
Last winter, the city of Calgary was host to the '88 Winter Olympic Games and proudly became a true city of the world. Each summer, Calgary goes cowboy and hosts the greatest outdoor show in the world, the Calgary Stampede. Calgary's now looking to host the Stanley Cup Final and winning with the Calgary Flames. And how often do you see a coach enjoying his work so much?
The biggest thing right now, I think, is that we become a more patient team. And we don't feel that we have to win the game in the first 5 minutes or the last 5 or the middle 5. We figure it's a full 60 minutes. Let's use our patience and our discipline for the whole game and go from there.
There's a long ways to go to the Stanley Cup yet, but I like our chances. We've just got to keep on playing consistent and hopefully things go our way.
Suter to Mullen, back to McInnes. Now to Gilmore, he scores!
Fresh from a win Thursday night over the arch-rival Edmonton Oilers, the Flames boast an amazing 13-game unbeaten streak. Even more impressive is the fact that in 16 home games, they've yet to lose in the Saddle Dome.
We've brought some intensity at home. We've certainly had the big play at home at times. We haven't played as well at times at home, but we've come up with the big effort, whatever part of the game that we demanded. One night it was penalty killing, one night it was power play. So I think it's developing into a place where people are skeptic coming in, and we want it that way. I think the other thing, too, is we have a little bit of the edge with the altitude. Physiologically, we're up about 4,000 feet here, and it makes a difference for teams to come in, and there's no way you can get around it unless you come out here for a month.
It's not always the most talented team that ends up being the best, but right now, guys are playing pretty darn well and playing up to their potential, and I think expecting more of themselves. So I would say overall, we're the best team I've seen in 9 years, and I think we can probably be better again.
Anderson around Ravish, shoots, good save by Burnett.
While offense fills the arenas and pleases the crowd, defense wins hockey games. And here, too, the Flames lead the league.
We're just trying to concentrate day in and day out on the game that is confronted with us and go from there. We're just, as a team in general, we're just trying to keep our goals against down and be very cautious of it.
When he was traded from St. Louis to Calgary, Doug Gilmour couldn't help but think Stanley Cup.
Of course, anytime you come to a team like Calgary where they had, over 100 points last year, and it's just it's a thing. You look down the lineup, and there's so many good players here. And, you didn't know what to. I didn't know what to expect. I didn't know how much I'd play or whatever. And it's crossed my mind, but the season's so young now, and we can't be thinking really about that. We just gotta go on with the regular season and postseason as that comes along.
The Flames are still haunted by last year's finish when their fine regular season turned to disaster. They lost 4 straight to the Oilers in the division finals.
I'm here because I love the game. I enjoy it, and hopefully I've got something to contribute. Sure, it'd be great to win the Stanley Cup. After all, that's what we're all here for in the first place.
History tells us most championship teams experience a major setback before capturing the cup. The Flames have been through all that and hope the pattern continues.
When the Islanders went on their binge and won 4, that they had adversity, they got knocked out in a rough series. From a coaching point of view, you hope it comes true, because we got our butts spanked last year in the playoffs, and if it came due for us the way it did for Edmonton and the Islanders, we'd be a very happy hockey club.
Our second intermission score here in Edmonton as the Oilers trailing the Jets 6-4, live on CBC. This is Molson Hockey Night in Canada on CBC.
If you are the person who chooses the copier for your company, the copier that everyone counts on every day, which copier are you going to choose? Today, more people pick Canon copiers for features that make everyone's job easier, for the price that fits into the budget. Above all, they pick Canon for peace of mind. Because after all, this is the copier that everyone counts on every day. Canon, it's the comforting choice.
Suddenly, it's easy to retire. Suddenly, you're really living. Suddenly, it could happen to you.
It's something warm, something real, something different. 30-something, Monday on CBC Television.
Christmas comes 8 days early for hockey fans across the country next week. The New York Rangers visit the Montreal Canadiens, and it's the homecoming of Guy Lafleur. It should be an event. Join us next Saturday on Molson Hockey Night in Canada on CBC. Here, after 40 minutes of play, the Jets with a 6-4 lead. Looked like the Oilers had scratched their way back into the game with 2 quick goals by the Flying Finns, but an important goal by Pat Elenick, who scored an overtime game winner here earlier this year, has restored the 2-goal Jet lead. Now, don't underestimate the Winnipeg Jets. I think a lot of people forgot about them with the slow start this year, the firing of John Ferguson, and that quirk in the schedule that has them playing a lot fewer games than many of the other teams. But a win tonight would really put them back in the Smythe Division race. Let's take a look at the other scores tonight. The Calgary Flames' 13-game unbeaten streak is in jeopardy. They trail the Whalers 3-1 in the third period. The Los Angeles Kings held on and beat the Islanders 4-3, the Islanders' 10th straight loss. The Rangers in Boston tied this afternoon, 1-1 the final. The Rangers take over first in the Patrick. Chicago struggling their 9th straight loss, 6-4 in Philadelphia. The Washington Capitals and Montreal Canadiens scoreless in the third. Are shutouts coming back into vogue in the NHL? Peters and Waugh hope so tonight. Detroit leading Toronto 6-2. More gray hair for John Brophy as Mirko Preacher has a pair. St. Louis has a 2-0 lead on Minnesota. Greg Millen looking for his 4th shutout of the season. New Jersey leads Pittsburgh 4-2 in the third. And here it's the Jets 6, the Oilers 4 after 2. Our second intermission continues in a moment.
For an all-new season of fun and music, don't miss
Sharon, Lois, and Bram.
Elephant Show season premiere Sunday. A long-lost magical necklace
Wow, look, the middle part moves.
transports two kids to a mysterious island
Lost, are we?
where they find excitement and danger in their search for a great giant.
This is Blizzard Island. Blizzard Island.
Premieres Sunday on CBC television.
I want this guy.
He wrote the book on determination and good taste.
Hey, the pizza's cold.
Hooperman, Tuesday on CBC television.
Tell Michael I want the IBC summary on my desk by 5.
Meet J.C. Wyatt, happily married to her executive career when
So who's going to sign for this?
an unexpected inheritance is dropped into her corporate lifestyle.
Twinkle, twinkle, little star, how I wonder what you are.
Kate Jackson, Baby Boom, Wednesdays on CBC television. It's a dangerous game. Espionage. The search for a killer spy.
Hello, shut himself, Benny.
Len Dayton's bestseller, Game, Set, and Match, Thursday.
Action!
Don't miss the unpredictable comedy troupe Codco.
Good evening, and welcome to Ya Canadians Are Interesting People.
Everything you're looking for in unusual humor.
It's got depth. You can quote me on that.
Codco, Thursday on CBC television.
In one of hockey's most fabled careers, Terry Sawchuk played 21 NHL seasons in goal. Tonight, Sawchuk's introduction to greatness on Ford's Great Moments in Hockey.
Give me a hot, dusty day any time of year. Give me my favorite Ford and mud up to here, 'cause I love getting dirty. Yes, I love getting dirty. So give me rain and puddles in my 4x4. Give me a brand new Ranger and I'll never be bored, 'cause I love getting dirty.
Come see why Ford Ranger's the best-selling compact truck in Canada. The newly designed Ford Ranger. Built fun, tough.
The scene of the 1952 Stanley Cup Finals, the Montreal Canadiens against the first-place Detroit Red Wings. The Wings in the midst of 7 consecutive first-place finishes, the Habs on the verge of 6 Stanley Cups in 8 seasons. However, on this occasion, the Canadiens would be turned away, in large part due to the brilliance of Terry Sawchuk in goal. He had contributed 2 shutouts and 2 goals allowed in the opening round sweep of Toronto. Then in the final versus Montreal, 2 more zeros in Detroit's 8-game romp to the Stanley Cup. 4 shutouts and 4 goals allowed in those 8 matches. The final 2 games of the final were played at the Detroit Olympia, and Sawchuk thrilled a packed throng with a pair of 3-0 shutouts. Sawchuk would also be a part of 2 more Cup wins in Detroit and another later in Toronto. But this victory put him front and center and set the stage for a truly great career as a National Hockey League goaltender. Terry Sawchuk, part of Great Moments in Hockey, presented by Ford of Canada.
An important third period coming up for Maloney's Jets and Sather's Oilers. Molson Hockey Night in Canada on CBC returns in a moment.
In Canada, a beer must be clean and cold. And it must have a genuine Canadian taste. Molson Canadian. What beer's all about.
No one gives you more hockey action than the top NHL All-Stars of the 60s, 70s, and 80s. And now, for the first time, you can team up with the All-Stars at Esso. You get 6 free NHL All-Star action cards with every fill-up. And for $1.99, you can save all 53 cards in this All-Star collection album. So start trading and saving your All-Stars. Get NHL action at Esso today.
Okay, if gifts are supposed to talk for you, how come they don't talk? They say perfume speaks volumes, but have you ever heard a peep out of a bottle of perfume? Beep, beep. Has a tie ever asked you how you were?
Hey, how you doing?
Has a pair of slippers ever told you how much they miss you?
I miss you.
Only one gift really talks. Long-distance gift certificates. Give them to someone who'd like to hear the voice of a loved one. Contact your phone company and give long-distance gift certificates. The only gift that really talks. And when you want to talk, that's what long-distance is for.
Taste of Coors Light. Hold on to the silver bullet. It's the right beer now.
Well, based
based on what they've done in previous games this year in a similar circumstance, one would have to think that the Winnipeg Jets would emerge with a victory tonight here at Northlands Coliseum. Alain Chevrier has 2 wins and a tie in his 4 starts this year against Edmonton. Grant Fuhr, 2 losses and a tie. He only started 3 of the 4 games. Bill Ranford was in goal for the first win of the season, a 5-4 success back on October 9th, the first time they met. The last time that Edmonton defeated the Winnipeg Jets in that 2-1 overtime game here on November 16th. Pat Elnuck, who has a goal tonight, scored the overtime winner. On November 20th at Winnipeg, it was a 7-4 Winnipeg win. Broken up by Olesen. Now it's Acton, stopped at the line by Thomas Steen. Dave Ellett back into his own zone, over to Olesen. Olesen dumps it out, came down the ice. With Acton getting it to Tikkanen, he couldn't do anything with it, and the Jets come back. Steen trying to dump it in, but it was broken up and cleared to the center ice area. Here's a chance for Curry. Curry has it knocked off his stick, goes back to the line and plays it behind the Winnipeg net. Chevrier up along the boards for Elnuck. Elnuck stopped at the line by Curry, gets it again to Steen. Steen in across the line, has it taken away by Acton. Acton checked in the neutral zone by Neufeld, who plays it back into his own zone. Numminen up along the boards to the line for Boschman, who left it there for Ellett. Ellett to Ashton, who dumps it into the Edmonton zone. Bukaboom for the Oilers. Into the center ice area for Anderson to Messier. Messier rink wide for Buchberger. He shoots it in back of the net. Anderson tied up by Numminen. Buchberger bumped by Neufeld. Neufeld is hurt. He crashed head first into the boards. He was in an awkward position when he crashed into those boards, and he banged his head in against the boards deep in his own zone.
Ray Neufeld's one of those guys who's always in great shape. He went in awkwardly into the boards, and looks like his shoulder. We don't want to speculate, but here you can see he and Buchberger go into the boards. Buchberger goes down. There's Neufeld going down. His left shoulder crashed heavily into the boards. He's obviously in pain.
He's in considerable discomfort as Chuck Badcock, the Winnipeg trainer, goes out to tend to him. 18:39 is the time remaining in the period. Tonight's game is coming to you from Edmonton.
Water, a precious resource. But in parts of southern India, cycles of drought and excessive demand are drying up the wells. The land can no longer sustain life. Thousands are forced into the slums of big cities. But in another part of India, families are returning to their land. This once drought-stricken area has been revitalized. Wednesday on The Nature of Things with David Suzuki, Return to the Land.
Well, fortunately for Ray Neufeld and the Winnipeg Jets, the big winger is able to get up and skate off to the bench, and he is going to remain on the bench. When he cracked into the boards, as you hear him say, his arm went numb.
And it's his right arm. See him holding the shoulder.
Come on, boys. Come on now.
They're going to take further examination of that right arm. Face off to the left of Chevrier. 6-4, the Winnipeg Jets in front of the Oilers. Andrew McBain out there in place of Neufeld on the line with Boschman and Ashton. Back to the point, shot right on by Bukaboom, and Chevrier had a little difficulty handling that rebound, but the Jets are able to clear. It's Ashton in across the line with McBain. Ashton tried to slide it in front, and Boschman, who was going for the net, was tied up. Ashton behind the net, looking out front for McBain, comes back to the line. Numminen manages to keep it in. Now it's dumped out, and Messier takes over for Edmonton. For Buchberger, cutting around Ashton. Save, moves back in front of the net, and Numminen starts away for Winnipeg. Boschman shoots it in as the Jets make a change. Kevin Lowe trying to catch the Jets in that change, fires it up along the wing quickly. Anderson trying to go around Carlisle, lost control of the puck. And it's picked up by the Jets captain, Dale Hawerchuk. His clearing attempt stopped at the line, and the shot right on by McTavish that Chevrier covers up on.
A good alert save by Chevrier. McTavish just spun around, let the rolling puck go, and Chevrier was out there in good position to make the save. Here's the play. They had lots of time to get it out. That's Hawerchuk carelessly threw it up the middle. Now watch this. Rolling puck there, Chevrier, perfect position to make the save.
McTavish simply spun around and fired it all in the same motion. And Chevrier had to come up with a good save.
The big thing for a goaltender on a play like that is having your concentration keen enough that you stay down on the shot. The tendency is to pull up and get out of the way because the rolling pucks usually go high.
The Jets break out. Donnelly dumping it down the ice. Going back after it is Lowe, and this will be an icing call against the Winnipeg Joint. This program is copyright and is strictly for the private use of our viewing audience. Any reproduction, retransmission, distribution, or exhibition in whole or in part without the express written consent of Molson Brewery and the Canadian Broadcasting Corporation is strictly prohibited. 6-4, Winnipeg in front, 17:28 remaining in the third period. McTavish gets the draw back to Lowe. His shot, a weak one, the big rebound, and it hits the side of the net. Carson and Lacombe were both going after that loose puck. Out in front, Lacombe with a shot. He couldn't get it away as he was checked by Donnelly.
Lacombe waited too long. The puck was right there, and he was checked by Dale Hawerchuk coming back.
Now it's Lacombe behind his own net, up on the left side for McTavish. To Lowe. Lowe gets it ahead to Carson, and it's whistled down on a two-line offside pass. 6-4, the Winnipeg Jets lead the Oilers with 16:59 left in the third.
The new Remington Electroblade vibrating blade system has been an amazing success for those who prefer shaving with a blade. Electroblade's high-speed motor and vibrating twin blades glide so easily, you'll get the closest, smoothest, most comfortable blade shave you've ever imagined. If you don't, I'll give you your money back. Safe, immersible, and cordless. The new Lady Remington Electroblade. And for a perfect shave, use Remington precision-honed, color-coordinated Electroblades.
Mario Lemieux has his 27th of the year, but the Devils lead Pittsburgh 4-3 in the third period, and Peter Zezel has scored for the Blues 2-0 over Minnesota.
Pittsburgh had been in a tie for first place in the Patrick division with the Rangers going into today's activity. The Rangers picking up a point as a result of the 1-1 tie with Boston. Now it's Lacombe. Across the line. Chevrier out of the net. McTavish gets it behind the goal. Trying to get away from Ellett, still controlling it. Leaves it there for Randy Gregg. Poke to the line, McTavish gets it over to Carson. A spin-around shot that was right on. Chevrier made the save, and Doug Smale dumps it down the ice for an icing call against Winnipeg.
Good pressure by the Oilers, and there's lots of rebounds around Alan Chevrier. He seems to kick the puck right back up the middle.
Dave Allen did not take the morning skate. He is still being bothered by an ankle injury that caused him to miss a number of games. He sprained his ankle on November 11th in a contest against the Chicago Blackhawks. A game that saw the Blackhawks 3 times overcome a 3-goal deficit to win in overtime.
Jim Kite hasn't played as tough as everybody would like, but he was involved in a fight with Joey Koser and was knocked out. He said it took some of the pressure off because he didn't know what it was like to lose one, and he finally lost one, and it was a unanimous decision.
He had a great line after that bout, too. He made a comment on the bus after the game. I wonder if I will get the Order of the Buffalo when I return home, a reference to the presentation that was made to Winnipeg boxer Donnie Lalonde after his loss to Sugar Ray Leonard. Dumped into the Winnipeg zone. Newman plays it up on the boards, but not out. The Oilers trailing by 2, pressuring the Jets here in the third. Tikkanen back to the point. Gregg at the side of the net. Fired wide along the boards. Acton battling with Fenton. And finally it's dumped down the ice, and going back after it is Randy Gregg. Into the center ice area for Acton, ahead to Tikkanen. Tikkanen, backhand shot. He was checked by Olofsson. It went wide. Up along the boards for Donnelly. Donnelly gets it to Fenton. Fenton with a long shot wide of the Edmonton net. Donnelly picks it up in the center ice area, drives it back into the Edmonton zone. Smith with a rather careless pass as he went back into his own zone in front of the net. Here's Messier around Allen. Messier going for the net. Saved by Chevrier. Another shot by Smith, and Chevrier steers that to the corner. Ashton gets it loose to Olofsson. Olofsson ahead to Boschman, and Boschman plays it off the boards for Ashton. Ashton going for the net. Hauled down by Anderson. Loose puck picked up by Bukaboom, and the Oilers go to the attack again with Messier. Back to Bukaboom to Anderson. He's stopped by Ellett. Ellett brings it out into the center ice area for Boschman. Boschman dumps it into the corner.
The Jets are trying to go in their defensive mode here. It's pretty early in the third period, the way the pucks are going in tonight.
Anderson in across the line, tried to slide it through, broken up and dumped down the ice by Winnipeg. 14-16 remaining in the third period. Winnipeg leading 6-4. Kevin Lowe shoots it into Winnipeg territory. McTavish racing after it. Checked by Carlisle. Loose puck ahead to Howardchuk. Howardchuk goes rink wide with it to Olofsson. Olofsson dumps it off the boards for Duncan. He steers it into the Edmonton zone. Lowe back after it. He's checked. Lacombe picks it up along the boards. Looking ahead for Carson. Play broken up. Now the Oilers get it back, and it's Carson in against Carlisle. The shot, he scores!
The Jets give it away at center ice. To set this one up, Howardchuk skates away from the play, and there's Carson. A bad angle shot, and he just beats Alan Chevrier to the far side. Now watch Carlisle, forces the shooter wide, and the shot just beats Chevrier cleanly.
From the top of the circle, the 25th goal of the season for Jimmy Carson, as the Oilers again draw within one of the Jets. Kevin Lowe draws the assist, and for Kevin Lowe, that's the 250th point of his NHL career. Elnick, backhand shot. The Oilers steers that one to the corner. Steen bumps with Gregg. Elnick picks it up. Elnick centering it for Numminen, who had come in deep. He couldn't get a stick on it. Now it's Huddy shooting it down the ice. Chevrier way out of his net to play it. It deflects back in, a delayed offside call, but as Kite knocks it out, no whistle. Fired into the Oilers zone. Huddy goes back to the net, checked there by Smale. Elnick gets it to Steen. Back to the line, and Jim Kite. He flips the shot towards the net. It doesn't get through. Kite keeps it in at the point. Takes another shot that Cure steers to the corner. Smale is spun around. He and Gregg tie each other up. And back comes Acton to Tikkanen. He shoots it into the Winnipeg zone. Acton from a bad angle hit the side of the net. Numminen plays it ahead to Steen to Smale. Jets making a change as it's dumped in for Donnelly. Tikkanen knocked it away from him. Smith ahead to Messier. In across the line. Messier gets away from Boschman. Plays it into the corner for Curry. Back to the point to Buckberger. Now back to the line. Smith moving in. He shoots, save the rebound. And it's taken to the corner by Boschman and dumped down the ice.
Jets hanging on here. There's 12 minutes left in the period. They can't play it in their own home.
And as it's touched by the Oilers, an icing call against Winnipeg with 11:55 left in the period.
All bestsellers have novel characteristics, great lines, gripping material from start to finish. There's always something unexpected to keep you on the edge of your seat. And of course, a great ending. Escort, the international bestseller 6 years running.
The streak is over. The Flames have lost 4-1 to Hartford, just their 5th loss of the year. They're still scoreless in Montreal, Washington, and the Canadiens with about 2 minutes to go. Detroit all over Toronto, 7-2 in the third.
And it's 6-5, the Jets leading the Oilers here at Northlands Coliseum, 11:55 remaining in the game. And this third period has been all Edmonton. Again with the forechecking. The Oilers trying to get that puck loose from the Winnipeg zone. They do! And almost scoring on the wraparound was Glenn Anderson. Anderson back into his own zone to pick up that loose puck. His pass broken up in the center ice area. Messier gets it now for Anderson. Anderson with a shot. It's blocked. Messier picks it up. Messier goes after it. Back of the goal. He's bumped there by Ellen. Buckberger comes in to help out. And the Jets play it off the glass and down the ice. Going back after it is Bookaboo.
Both Oiler defensemen headed for the slot. That's why the Jets were able to get it out so easily.
Now it's Dave Ellett in his own zone. Rink wide pass. Andrew McBain couldn't handle it. Fuhr is forced to play it in his own zone. Kevin Lowe, checked by Duncan. Powerchuk has it. Powerchuk back to the line. Jim Kite with a shot. Knocked down by Craig Muni, and the Oilers come back. McTavish leading the attack. For Muni, a long shot that's steered to the corner by Chevrier. The puck picked up along the boards by Kite. He breaks out with Ian Duncan. Kite takes a shot. Fuhr with the glove save as he puts it to the corner. Now here's a chance for Edmonton. Carson trying to go around Kite. And Kite got a stick in the shot as it deflected high up into the crowd with 10:22 remaining in the third period. Winnipeg hanging on to a 1-goal lead.
I'm going to see Don.
Go get him, Bob.
Don, didn't you mow the lawn last year? You've got to know when to mow it. Know when to grow it. There you go, buddy. Know when to walk away. Know when to run. It's one heck of a grapefruit. Grapefruit I'm holding is to growing and mowing at the end of the working day. I love hard work. I can watch it all day.
Mario Lemieux has scored his second of the game, 28th of the year. Pittsburgh ties New Jersey 4-4. Brian Bellows has scored, and Minnesota is on the board against St. Louis. Steve Yzerman has a goal, 8-2 Detroit, and they're going to overtime. Montreal and Washington still looking for a goal.
And a goal separates the teams here at the Northlands Coliseum. Winnipeg in front 6-5. It's been all Edmonton in this third period. The Oilers have outshot the Jets 12-1 so far in the third. Randy Gray dumps it in back of the net. Tavish for Lacombe. Taken away by Thomas Steen. He breaks out with Helnick in across the line. Helnick tried to feed it back in front to Steen. It went behind the goal. Helnick races over to the corner after it, along with Doug Smale. Goes loose back to the net. Now to the other side for Doug Smale to the point to Olesen. He lets his shot go. It's deflected and just goes back of the net. Grant Fuhr had that one go off his glove over top of the goal. Now it's Gregg circling in his own zone as the Oilers make a line change. Huddy forced back, gets it ahead to Tikkanen to Acton. He has Curry with him. Gets it back to Curry. A shot. They score!
A good crisscross by Acton and Curry at the blue line. Watch Acton cut across and Curry in behind him. Both defensemen go for Acton. And then in desperation, you can see Olesen stick his stick out. He tips it, and it goes off Chevrier's glove. There's Olofsson getting a stick on it. Chevrier gets a piece of it, but not enough. And Curry ties it up.
Curry's 21st from Acton and Tikkanen at 10:39, and the game is tied at 6. And the Winnipeg Jets have called the timeout.
Here's Acton. Now watch Olofsson. He goes over too, and there's Curry on his forehand. Olofsson in desperation gets a piece of it, but not enough. Chevrier's got very little chance on that one. Waved at it. Got a little piece of it, but it still went in past.
Well, there were many people who wondered how Jari Kurri would perform this season without number 99 as his center man. I think he's done pretty well.
He sure has. And Dan Maloney, I think this is a great play to call a timeout. It's been all Edmonton here in the third period, and it gives his team a chance to regroup and hopefully a chance, he's thinking, for the Edmonton Oilers to cool down, because they've just been taking it to the Winnipeg Jets here in the third period.
Well, you know, since the 1983-84 season, these two teams have played 9 overtime games, including 2 of them this season. One ended in a 3-all tie in Winnipeg. The other saw the Jets score a 2-1 victory here at Northlands Coliseum in OT. Newman back at his own goal. It's been all Edmonton in this third period. They've scored 2 goals, and they have outshot the Jets by a 13-2 margin. Oh, Andrew McBain crashed heavily into the end boards. McBain is able to get up and try and get back into the play. Back to the point to Bukaboom. He dumps it in back of the goal. Jim Kite being tied up there by Tikkanen. Kite trying to pry it loose. Comes up along the boards. Newman gets a stick on it. Dumped up to Dale Hawerchuk. Hawerchuk at the line. Or Duncan. Duncan takes a weak backhand that goes wide. Hawerchuk keeps it in, plays it back to the point. Olofsson with a shot. It's deflected wide by Duncan. He had Fuhr out of position, but deflected that shot by Olofsson wide. Now here's a chance for Curry, but it's offside as he stole it at the line. 8:11 remains in the third. It's tied at 6.
Introducing power tools designed to work as one with your hand. The revolutionary Black & Decker M47 series. More compact for better control, greater accuracy, and driven by the most powerful motor for its size we've ever built. The M47 series power tools. They work with your hand as if they were one. From Black & Decker, look for the money-back guarantee of quality.
Well, Dan Maloney saw his team with a 3-goal lead in the second period, and with a 2-man advantage, it looked as though the Jets were in total control. But then that short-handed goal by Tikkanen provided the spark, and in the third, it's been all Edmonton, and they've been led by that Acton, Tikkanen, Curry line. Winnipeg now with a chance to shot the rebound as Fuhr kicked that one out, and Thomas Steen couldn't pick it up. Olofsson up along the boards for Elnick. Elnick plays it ahead for Thomas Steen. Going in with Doug Snail. Steen puts on the brakes. Steen back to the point. Elliott with a shot. Fuhr grabs it and hangs on. 7:33 remains in the game.
For those who don't know, there's trouble. But for those who do know, there's no trouble. Specially formulated SO No Trouble gasoline for winter actually reduces gas line freeze-up and in cold, damp weather, stalling and rough idling.
Want to lift again, Mr. Bill? Hold on tight.
Now you know.
John, you suggested that the Winnipeg Jets started this third period in a defensive mode, and it certainly cost them. Now, since calling that timeout, they appear to be a little more aggressive. Fired in deep by Messier. Along the boards, Carlisle having some problems. Pokes it free. Fenton gets it ahead to Hunter. Hunter for Blashman. It was offside.
They have to create some offense. You don't mind if your team blows a lead, once every 2 or 3 weeks. It's going to happen. But when they do it 3 nights in a row like the Winnipeg Jets have done, you know you're in a little bit of trouble, and you want to get back in your home building where you've got some time to work on the practice rink, on your checking assignments, and what you do when you do get a lead. Obviously, the Jets have to work on that part of their game.
Dan Maloney and his team will charter out after tonight's game to Vancouver, where they take on the Canucks tomorrow. And it's home for a Wednesday date against Buffalo. Then they go on the road for 2 games. Washington on Saturday, Philadelphia on Sunday. Puck knocked down at the side of the net. Brought out by Carson. Lead pass for McTavish, and McTavish fell as he reached way ahead for that puck. Stolen as Chevrier tried to play it behind the net and then hit with a high stick over the glass and out of play. Well, Chevrier almost had that one taken away from him for a go-ahead goal by Edmonton.
Legendary sophistication. Legendary appointments. New Mercury Sable. No wonder the night has 1,000 eyes.
After another Alan Chevrier giveaway, here's Norman Lacombe. He tries the wraparound, misses short side. That's a lack of communication when the goalie gives it away that often.
In the Winnipeg zone, center! Save off Carson. Lead pass for Doug Smale. Smale going in as he got around Gregg. Saved by Grant Fuhr. That was a big one by Fuhr as he got a toe on the shot by Doug Smale.
And he was well out. He charged Smale, challenged him, took away the angle, and made a good save.
McTavish working against Olesen. Winnipeg defenseman comes up with it, gets it ahead to Thomas Steen. Steen in across the line. Elnick was offside. Smale got around Gregg, and I don't think he realized he had quite the time that he did.
And Gregg, out of frustration, went at Thomas Steen. Here's Gregg. He takes the outside move, crosses the legs over, and there's Smale. He's got all sorts of time. But look at where Fuhr is. Way out at the top of the crease. And who would have thought the save Grant Fuhr made on Ray Neufeld at the end of the second period would stand as large as it is right now?
Well, the Oilers embark on a 4-game road trip following tonight's game, but before they play those 4 games, they make a trip to Palm Springs, California for the annual golf tournament with former U.S. President Gerald Ford. And they travel on Tuesday to Toronto, not getting into Toronto until about 8 o'clock Tuesday night. They have a practice scheduled for 9. They play the Leafs on Wednesday.
I wonder if they looked at the schedule and saw that they were playing Toronto before they went on this golf tournament.
Smith has it stolen. McBain has to wait for a teammate, Dale Hawerchuk, to get onside. Now gives it to Duncan. Duncan back to the point. Kite wasn't in position. Kite played it off the boards, picked up by Acton. He's got a full head of steam. Acton falls as the puck slides into the corner. Acton gets it back again. Acton to the point. Bookeboom had a little trouble handling it. Dumped it back to the net. Chevrier is out there to play it. Chevrier coming up with another big save, and at this time we welcome the viewers who have been watching the action between the Red Wings and the Maple Leafs here at Northlands Coliseum. It's a 6-6 game. Winnipeg, at one point in the second, was in front by a score of 5-2. Then the Oilers got a short-handed goal from Esa Tikkanen. A great shot by Jari Kurri to draw within 1 before Pat Elnick gave Winnipeg a 6-4 lead after 2 periods. But in this third period, It's been all Edmonton. They have dominated play, and they got back on even terms with 5:08 remaining.
Alan Chevrier, another big save, and Grant Fuhrer settled down. He looked shaky in the first period. He came up with a big save on Ray Neufeld in the last 5 seconds of the second period, and he stopped Doug Smale on a breakaway here late in the third to keep the score tied. Chevrier, with no stick, stuck out his right hand and grabbed that one with his blocker hand.
Carson and Curry scoring for Edmonton in the third period. From the face-off, it comes to the center ice area. Lowe dumps it in. Olsen plays it up around the boards for Boschman. Boschman coming out with Fenton. Boschman fakes the shot, then lets it go, and Fuhrer drops on top of that one, and one of his teammates slides right into him, knocking the Oiler goaltender into the net. He was hit by Craig Munich.
Grant Fuhrer played well in Calgary on Thursday night. His third start, and he's been struggling. He had the hook his last 2 starts before that Calgary game. Playing tonight, he had 4 goals scored on him, and it all started when he tried to shoot the puck out and banked it off Randy Gregg into his own net.
Face off to the right of Fuhrer. 4:50 remaining in the third. Boschman against Messier in the circle. Along the boards, Fenton gets it back to the goal to Boschman. Boschman is tied up, and Messier starts out for Edmonton. Ahead to Buckberger. And at this time, we welcome those viewers who have been watching the action. That scoreless tie between Montreal and Washington. I'm Don Whitman with John Garrett and Chris Cuthbert. It's tied here at the Northlands Coliseum. Winnipeg 6, Edmonton 6. Messier tried to slide it on the wing to Buckberger. Broken up, and Boschman comes back. Boschman trying to go around the defenseman. Bookeboom, and the puck slides back to the net. Lead pass for Carson. Carson trying to split the defense. Chevrier way out of his net to drive it down the ice. 3:56 remaining in the third. Randy Carlyle back after it in his own zone. Carlyle up on the wing. It bounced away from Steen. Smith gains control, fires it back in, but Carson played it while he was offside. 6-6 is the score here. Chris, what about some of the other games?
Well, Don, many of our viewers watched this game. Washington and Montreal. Patrick Waugh and Pete Peters sharing the shutout. That final in overtime. The Maple Leafs took it on the chin tonight again from Detroit. 8-2 the final. And Mario Lemieux scored 2 goals in a 39-second span to give Pittsburgh a 4-4 tie with New Jersey. So the Pens tie the Rangers for first in the Patrick.
3:45 remaining in the third. Winnipeg in that second period enjoyed a 5-2 lead. Puck slides into the corner. Smale unable to get it out. Now it's knocked out into the center ice area, but stolen by Lacombe to Carson. His pass intercepted by Olsen. Olsen to Steen to Elnick. Elnick puts on the brakes, backhands it. Elnick with a shot, score!
Dave Ellett, who has contributed to the Winnipeg Jets offense, gets a break here. The pass hits an Oilers skate, goes right to Dave Ellett. There's the back pass, hits an Oilers skate. There comes Ellett, and Grant Fuhrer stays back in his net. When he's playing well, when he's playing confidently, he would have been out there on Ellett. Here he stays back in his net, and you're not going to beat somebody on reflexes, especially a Dave Ellett on a 20-footer right from in the middle. Ellett, top shelf, no chance for Fuhrer.
Ellett's 14th goal of the season, his second goal of the night, with Elnick and Steen drawing the assists. So the Winnipeg Jets have a 7-6 lead. Smith in his own zone. Leaves it there for Tikkanen. Long shot. Steered to the corner by Chevrier. Curry trying to take it away from Kite, and it slipped up over the glass and out of play by Dale Howardchuk.
Lance Sather has to be troubled with his team's defensive performance tonight. Dave Ellett let the shot go, and he was standing. There was nobody within 5 feet of Ellett. The winger's supposed to pick up the defenseman. And you can't count on Grant Fuhr to come up with the big save all the time. He's done it after the score was 5-2. He's made some good saves. But Ellett just beat him cleanly with that shot from 20 feet out in the middle of the ice.
Ellett is having a career season for the Winnipeg Jets. 14 goals. His best previous was 15 goals in the 1985-86 season. Loose puck, picked up by Hunter. He dumps it off the glass into the center ice area, fired back in offside by the Oilers.
The Winnipeg Jets are getting to be a pretty good team defensively with their players jumping up into the play. They've got Ellett, they've got Olofsson, and Randy Carlyle throughout the years. He was the Jets' leading scorer back at the blue line last year. He had 58 points. So you know he occasionally is going to jump up into the play also.
2:53 remaining in the game. Ray Neufeld has not been back in the ice since he crashed into the boards and appeared to injure his shoulder. Neufeld, however, is still on the Winnipeg bench. He has not gone to the dressing room. The initial indication was that he had some numbness in that right arm, but it appears to be all right, but they don't wish to take any chances by playing him. Centered, and Chevrier went down. And the Edmonton player acting at the side of the net. They have caught a stick. And I think the penalty is coming up against the Winnipeg Jets.
It's a cross-checking penalty. Acton in front of the net was drilled into the post. You see Maloney's complaining about it, but it's a good scoring chance. It's a good call. The Oilers forechecking. And it's Newman. He's going to get the penalty, although I don't think he was the culprit. I think it was Corey Boschman.
Well, Numanen has gone to the penalty box. They called cross-checking against Numanen at 17:24.
There's 3 Jets around Acton, and I think referee Kerry Fraser picked Numanen out of the crowd. It appeared to me to be Laurie Boschman, but there was definitely an infraction. Acton a good scoring chance. Jets made sure he couldn't make contact with the puck, and they're playing short-handed. The Oilers' power play, although not very good all year, has looked pretty good tonight.
The Oilers send out Messier with Carson and Curry up front, Huddy and Tikkanen back on the points. In the second period, the Oilers had a power play and kept the puck in the Winnipeg zone inside the blue line for the entire 2 minutes, but really didn't have many good scoring opportunities. They only had a couple of shots, and not good ones at that. There was not a whistle in that entire 2-minute penalty. Back to the line to Tikkanen. Tikkanen fakes the shot over to Huddy. Back to Tikkanen. Return to Huddy. Into Curry. To Huddy, to Tikkanen. In front to Messier, saved by Chevrier, and Carson was upended at the side of the net, and it's knocked out into the center ice area.
Good save by Alan Chevrier on Messier. Got his glove on it, just tipped it wide.
Dumped in, but Dave Ellett picks it up for Winnipeg. And Dave Ellett fires at the length of the ice. 1:20 remaining in the penalty to Numanen. Tikkanen in a collision with Boschman lost his helmet. He's got the puck. On the wing to Huddy. Huddy fires it around the boards for Curry. Curry is tied up. It comes back to Tikkanen. He went offside. He went out across the blue line. Now Tikkanen forced back in his own zone by Dave Hunter. Managed to get it to Carson, to Tikkanen, or to Curry. He flips it wide of the net. Picked up there by Fenton, and Fenton trying to dump it down the ice, put it into the Winnipeg bench.
1:25 left. Would you pull the goalie yet? You're on a power play. You got the face-off deep in the Jets zone.
Well, Glenn Saylor might be thinking that. 49 seconds remaining in the penalty to Numanen.
Dave Hunter doing a good job for the Jets. He knows what the Oilers do on their power plays. He's killed penalties for them for years. Glenn Sather calling a timeout. Discuss strategy with the troops. I don't think I'd pull the goalie. If I was in Sather's spot, you're on the power play. You already have one-man advantage. Wait till give your power play another 25 seconds.
49 seconds left in the penalty, 1:25 remaining in the third. Winnipeg leading 7-6. Quite a contrast to the Washington-Montreal game at the Forum. 13 goals scored here, none in Montreal.
The Oilers, who have been playing very well this year, having trouble in their own division. They've lost a couple of games to the Canucks. They have trouble with the Jets. They've lost here at home and lost in Winnipeg, and now it looks like they're on their way to another loss to the Winnipeg Jets.
You know, the way the Smythe division is going this year, many feel that it will take about 85 points to finish in 4th place this season in the Smythe division.
I think the battle is going to be for second and third and home ice advantage. If those LA Kings end up in second place, they're going to be tough for the third place team to beat.
I don't think anybody is anxious to face the Calgary Flames in the first round of the playoffs, should they wind up in first place.
Vancouver Canucks has had 3 out of 4 points against the Calgary Flames. You can see Brad Fuhr over at the bench.
So the Edmonton net is empty. 6 skaters against 4. From the face-off to the line, Curry managed to keep it in for Carson, for Messier. Messier shoots, saved by Chevrier, and he bangs it high. Tikkanen takes a shot, it goes off the leg. Messier behind the net. Puts it around in the boards. He had a great opportunity there. Messier gets it again. Back to the point, Tikkanen makes the shot into the final minute. Curry let it go, and it went wide. Tikkanen manages to keep it in. They center it. Played around the boards, but not out. 13 seconds left in the penalty. Over to Curry. All sorts of traffic in front of that Winnipeg net. Now Messier lets the shot go. The save. And as they battle for the rebound, Chevrier covers up with 1 second left in the penalty to Newman.